Bases dropped, and it's going to be a little backwards this morning when it comes to SDH. John and Jared here, you there. Thanks for coming in. And here's the rundown for the morning. Like I said, it's going to be kind of like it's almost like a Sadie Hawkins kind of a show today. So hour number one, we're going to catch up with a couple of our friends in North Carolina and find out about Helene. We're going to catch up with Scott Wells up at Gardner Webb. We're going to catch up with Taylor Morton at Lees McRae. 10 o'clock hours, the power hour with Nino and Niko. We'll find out what's on Nino's mind. Niko will actually start our MLS coverage at 10:30 as he's going through probably his second or third cup of coffee after what happened last night with Seattle. We'll get into all of that. Then all of your Atlanta United thoughts, everything Major League Soccer. Yes, we're going long. We are absolutely going long this morning. There's no way around it. So let me bring in Jared as a short timer. So, Jared, what's on your mind before we bring in Scott Wells?
Chaos reigns.
Other than general frustration, chaos, and all of the above.
Hey man, you know what? At least you got the entertainment. If you wanted something fun, I hope you clicked over to the Nashville DC game that encapsulated Nashville season. As DC scored twice after the 90th minute. You're not mathematically eliminated, but you are standing on the gallows and kind of looking up at the executioner.
Yep.
And I will say, like, I know a lot of the sentiment is just in the season. Nobody wants to go to the playoffs. For me, that's bullshit. Let's go and get that one out of the way.
Attaboy.
I always want playoffs because playoffs are such a crapshoot. I always want to get into the dance.
Yeah.
You just never know.
No, you don't.
He says to John, the LA Kings fan who got a hot tender
as an 8
title with him as an 8C.
Earned everything. 4-4-4.
Yeah, you never know. And I know all sports are different. I hate the defeatist idea personally.
Yeah.
Of everything sucks. I hope we don't make the playoffs. We don't deserve it. We don't need it. I don't care if you deserve it or not. You get into the dance and you see what fate throws you. Yep. It might throw you an embarrassing first-round loss. It happens.
Yeah.
It might throw you a surprise. But you get into the dance and you start throwing dice and see what happens.
And
I got to get that off my head.
Like I said, dude, we're long today, so you can go ahead.
Oh, I know, but I also know we're about to dive into other things. I'm short timing. Okay. We've got much more important things to talk about soccer in the South.
Yeah.
Coming up here in just a minute. But no, man, it always weighs on me whenever I see it. I hate the attitude. Yeah. I really do. I don't care how defeatist or poor me you want to be about it.
Right.
That's between you and God. I want playoffs every time. Mm-hmm. I don't care how bad you think it is or how much you think you deserve to suffer. This isn't purgatory. You're not racking up time here for time served. You don't get time served just because you feel bad about your team because they're struggling. And yeah, you got struggles for miles around with this team right now. Oh yeah, Alex, I understand the frustration too. I'm also not going to sit here and say they don't deserve to go to the playoffs. So they shouldn't go to the playoffs. Like, if everyone else chokes around you and you do the least amount of choking and you back in, you back in.
Yep.
Whatever. Then at that point, nothing else matters. You go for 90 minutes and you see what the hell happens if you get in the dance. I absolutely get the frustration. I'm pretty upfront about my frustrations with this team and their mentality. The way they haven't shown up. The Nashville game a couple of weeks ago that was embarrassing. An embarrassing performance. Last night, just flat. Missing chances. I love Saba's leaving chances on the table. I love Saba. I still think if you bring in two big attacking pieces and Saba is your third choice guy, I think he is a fantastic option. I think he drives that situation. He's not consistent enough to be a 1A right now.
And considering the amount of weight that is being put on him as like the lone survivor on the desert island, where you have to almost feel like you are the guy. You add that pressure to what's already being thrown on him.
And to Alex's point, you're not this whole thing, and I will never forgive portions of this fan base for the personal attacks and not even just but making, I shouldn't say that, making it personal with their dislike of Gonzalo Pineda.
Right.
And insulting the dude's intelligence as a person and as a coach. But yeah, you're not saving anyone's job. So it's not like that thing where well, we want them to lose so that maybe they'll fire this guy. You're already making a list for the executioner as it stands, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your coaches are gone. You're going to make some decisions about players. Some of them might be hard decisions about what you want to do with this roster. You might as well try and make some weird shit happen. Anyway.
Go ahead and dance and see what happens. Yes. When it comes to your favorite college football team, I know that you might have a team that's 6-6, but what does everybody say about getting into a bowl game? Even if it's the pre-Christmas Bahamas Bowl, you're getting those extra reps. You're getting those, extra handshakes and figuring out your offense and figuring out who's in, who's out, who wants to portal, who's going to be a part of it. Give me extra opportunities to figure out what the future is going to look like instead of, checking out at the end after match day 34, and then everybody sits there, shakes hands, and then you go on vacation. I want those extra reps. I want that. I want to close my time between the end of the season and the beginning of training camp next year, however many weeks that is. I want to shorten that gap and figure out what it's going to look like.
I want to see what guys have in the tank.
Yeah.
2 games left. If you can't come out like a house on fire against Red Bull Sunday or Saturday, excuse me.
Yeah.
If you can't come out with a high energy in that game, if I'm being honest, you're making my decision much easier about your future as a player.
Oh, no question.
Like, if your back's against the wall, you have, and look, Brad is the only one left from those halcyon days of this club. But look, Red Bulls is a rivalry here. Game 1, thwarted every step of the way in 2018. You lose the Shield to them on the last day.
Yep.
You beat them in the playoffs and rip away their best chance at a MLS Cup. That's a rivalry. Your back's against the wall. You have to win out. They're coming into your house feeling a little bit better about themselves because Toronto, they made Toronto's ass quit, Paul.
Yeah, and Forsberg is back, so you got that.
Yeah. If you can't get up for that game, for me personally, speaking as someone who's not with the team, but speaking as a fan, you've made my choice easier about your future if you can't get up for this game as a player with everything we've seen and everything we know.
Yep. And we will break down every possible aspect of that, probably starting 11:05.
Yeah, probably. I might be back for that if I can.
I was going to say, we're going long this morning, and I know we're going long. I knew it last night when the show was getting stacked the way that it was. Like I said, we're going to visit Gardner Webb. We're going to visit Lees McRae. That's in hour number 1. We'll kind of drift through all the news of the morning and get you ready for our buddy Nino at 10 o'clock, where we go fully loaded. Then Niko comes in at 10:30, 10:35. Last half hour of the normal time frame gets us to 11:05. And then by that point, we will be drifting into Major League Soccer coverage. And then, 11:05 and beyond, everybody's had their coffee. Everybody's had the chance to stretch and get the muscles ready. So let the yelling begin around 11:05. And like I said, I got nowhere to be. And that's the beauty of a Thursday like this, is that I'm looking at my rundown and it's like, I got my guests. We know what we got to talk about. I got some things that are to be taped. We've got to get our programming ready, the episodics in the USL Championship and MLS Next Pro. We got to get that ready later this afternoon. I got a couple of tape pieces, but hey, the third ghost hour might be full, and I don't care. because I want everybody to get what's on their mind off of their chest, and we'll start that, probably 10:30 to 11:05, and then just go 11:05 to whenever. So yeah, if you're still around at 11:05, Jared, come on back.
And Alex, we'll get you a bowl game between Florida and Auburn because
Oh God, we'd probably watch it from home.
Oh my God, yeah, that's appointment viewing.
Yeah,
that's an I quit match.
We ain't watching FSU and Auburn from on location. We're watching it from home. And if anybody that wants to come by Office HD and watch us and watches both yell at our respective coaches and teams and athletics directors, then that's what it's there for. So, morning, Alex, morning, Hutch. So that's the rundown for the morning. So, Jarrett, yeah, if you, Jared, if you want to come back at 11:05 or 10:35, because that's when we'll start with Niko talking about everything Major League Soccer. We're going to be here, brother. We're going to be here all morning.
Can I interest you in a gently beaten down Kennesaw State Owls football program?
It's your first year in Confusa. I understand it. No worries. It's all good. Nothing.
You lost to Tennessee Martin last week, brother, by double digits.
Ooh. Hey, look, I mean, the Ohio Valley is not a conference to be messed with.
It is not to be trifled with. The FCS disrespect stays at the door here. It is not allowed in this building.
Ooh, yeah. So turn around and go to the next strip mall to hang a sign on a dojo. So we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, all right. Sounds good.
All right, there goes Jarrett. So that's opening kickoff officially. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once I find the QR code, I'll hit it. There we go. There's your QR code for those of you who are watching us or listening, however you're doing so this morning, on the 280-character app, on the Twitch, on the YouTubes, all there. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvest at youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked as cool, as our buddy Carlito says. It's Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay. Hour number one. We got some catching up to do with some folks. And first time, no dilly, no dally zone. So I'm going to bring Scott in. Scott Wells from Gardner Webb, Asheville City. First and foremost, Scott, how are you, my friend?
Well, I'm safe, thankfully. And like a lot of other people, my family's safe. My wife's family in Asheville has now been accounted for. So, considering everything, we are okay. Thank you.
I'm going to take everybody through this and your family's part, and I mean that, blood and extended with Gardner Webb and everybody up there in Western North Carolina. What was it like going through Helene? Where were you? Where was your family? Where were you bunkered down?
Yeah, so I live in Spartanburg, which is about 35, 40 minutes away from Gardner Webb's campus. So, we woke up to obviously no power, to a lot of trees outside the house. One that just kind of missed my son's bedroom window. And funny enough, we actually had power not in the house, but service on our phone. So we were able to contact a couple of people, but as time was going on, we were panicking more and more of the people we couldn't get hold of. But again, at that moment, you don't really know the severity of everything, So was able to get hold of some of the support staff at Gardner Webb and figure out the damage that had been done. And again, a lot of power lines down, a lot of trees down. Some of our facilities had been, the benches had been destroyed and the gates around the field had been destroyed. But overall, just extremely lucky on campus at Gardner Webb. And then we sort of started to turn to Asheville, my wife's family, Asheville City family. So many people out there, Mick at UNC Asheville. And that's when the panic button started to hit because we couldn't get hold of anybody for a long time. And it was extremely worrying.
Yeah, and we've been fortunate where we caught up with Mick and Andy McNabb. We caught up with them a couple days ago. And full disclosure to everyone who might be drifting in for the first time, I have wanted to turn the morning show as best we can into a place where we can catch up with everybody, where we can share, okay, I'm okay, I need to send out a call, I need to catch up, I need to find so-and-so, I need to do this, wherever we can. And that's why I wanted to add you to the list of folks that we needed to catch up with. and get updates and find out how things are. Because Asheville, and I, full disclosure, I turn to my left, I've got the big 55 on, and it's been on the Weather Channel for about a week. And I've been trying to keep up with everything there. How difficult has it been for you, and how much of a challenge has it been for you to catch up with everybody after the fact, and how difficult still is it to try and keep up with everybody?
Yeah, I think it was one of the first times in my life, and again, it sounds terrible, and I said this on social media the other day about how, we've been impacted individually by the Association of Asheville and Western Carolina. So we've took more of a notice to it, which is wrong. There's a lot of things going on around the country that we probably need to do a better job of. But I started to just panic myself. Every hour was getting worse and worse. And I come home from work, we obviously my main priority was trying to make sure the players were okay. They were on cold meals. They had no power in their dorms. They were going a little stir crazy. And so we were trying to work with them. But as soon as I got out of Gardner Webb and I got home, I just started to panic myself. And there was another person that popped into my head, and I better check on them. And then you were getting one ticks on one WhatsApp, or you couldn't get through to them on any kind of social media platform. And I was getting myself worked up. So I spoke to our associate head coach, Joe Barber, and I said, I think we need to go. And I know it's dangerous, but I just feel like I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for Asheville City. Obviously my wife's family is from Asheville. It's a massive part of our lives. And so I felt like I needed to go. So we got a Gardner Webb minibus, and we put about $2,000 worth of food and water, gas in there. And we went, and it was an eye-opening journey to see, especially on the outskirts in Swannanoa and Black Mountain, just how you just don't realize how bad it is. And, we were able to get some small messages of what some certain people needed, people that weren't connected with me, that, were in the community that some of our friends were living in, mothers that had no formula, or, old age pensioners with no things that they need. It was horrific. Massively eye-opening.
So with all of this now that you've seen, how bad was it?
It was as bad as what you've seen on social media. A lot of the places that are underwater, that have washed away businesses and homes. There's young children out there with firemen that are still unsure where their parents are. It's just horrific. And then there's some parts of Asheville that you wouldn't know. More towards Candler, you wouldn't sort of notice that there has been a storm, which is crazy. So there's power there now, and I think some gas stations are open, but it seems like no one there even realizes, because they can't connect with people on the outskirts or in the River Arts District. They can't connect with those people to see how bad it really is for them. So it just seems like right now it's so scattered in terms of communication and where everybody needs to be and when everyone needs to help. And that's why we tried to travel to as many different areas as we could to see exactly what the damage was and who needed help the most. Just horrific, some of the things that we've seen. And again, just like even hugging people, like the way that they squeezed you and just made you feel like giving them a case of water was like as if they'd won the lottery. These guys have not had water for days, for 2-3 days. And just unbelievable scenes, honestly.
Are you going back?
Yeah. So I started a donation link, and we racked up a lot of money. So we're trying to figure out what organizations really been able to get to certain areas of Asheville right now. And then we're going to go back, and I basically have on my social media as many people that can message me with their addresses, what they need, and basically just kind of taxi drive around as best as possible. I'd reached out to Mick on our way. He said he was okay right now and he was safe, but we'll check in with him again, check in with any of his international guys, that are struggling right now too, that are probably staying with some host families. I know that they're looking to move to UNC Charlotte. So anything that we can do as an institution, Gardner Webb has been fantastic with UNC Asheville as well. And then I don't want to forget, obviously where I live in Spartanburg, Greenville is in the same situation. USC Upstate, at Scott at USC Upstate, I think that the emergency services teams are actually working out of USC Upstate right now. So they're obviously going through it as well. And yeah, just any way I can help. And I know giving the donation to an organization that can maybe reach more people is probably the best thing to do. But just, I guess there's part of me that's just kind of wanting to try and get there quicker. We don't know how long it's going to take these organizations to round up everything and get supplies to people, where I can just jump in the car right now and we can get there. And I know it's only going to help 50 to 100 people versus 1,000 people, but that's kind of where we're at mentally right now. We're just hitting panic mode all the time.
Because at the same time, those 50 to 100, you're getting direct contact with them. You are eyes and feet on the ground, and you're able to see, and your knowledge of Asheville with your wife's ties and everything, you know those pockets to hit. So I understand where you're coming from there about saying, okay, look, and by the way, at Scott Wells 1988 on the 280 character app, and whatever, by the time we go, all the other places where you are, I want to get that out there too. But I get it. The idea of, okay, I can throw things into a Gardner Webb, minibus, minivan, what have you, and I can drive up there because I know the roads, I know where I can go, I know where I can dodge, and I know how to get to places where others who aren't familiar with Western North Carolina are not, especially with 26 really being the only two-way in and out of there right now, because you can't go from Asheville North, you can't go from Asheville west to North Carolina to Tennessee, because that's shut down, and only eastbound I-40 is open still, right?
Yeah, I-40 is. We went through I-26, which was probably the quietest that I've ever seen going in, and probably the busiest I've ever seen going out. But I-26 is open right now, and we are able to get there, and that's an important part of it. Is we are able to get there, and I feel somewhat safe now to get there. So we should be, and it's not just me though. The other people that were on the road when we were driving in they're doing the same thing. There's people all over. I've got one of my players at Gardner Webb. His dad is flying in from California to help, because there are a lot of people there that are wanting to do it. So I-26 is open, and you can get there if people are willing and able to do so.
What do people still need?
Well, they seem to be running out of water very, very quickly. We took 100 cases, and we're already hearing that a lot of people are needing more water, baby formula, food that doesn't need to be refrigerated, obviously. That's a gas for the generators. I don't know any updates today of what areas have power, water. I'm sure the power services are working as hard as they can. I've been told yesterday that it could be up to 4 more weeks before power is restored and water supplies are restored in certain areas. So yeah, I would say water right now is crucial, and the families with children with as much snacks as possible, as much food as possible, and fruits and different things like that.
When it comes to having conversations with your own players and everyone inside the university at Gardner Webb, since you've been there and come back and you know what's going on, what are those conversations like, where you're having to deliver some real nasty real world stuff to individuals who are either 18 to 22 or they're on campus who haven't seen what you've seen? What are those conversations like?
Yeah, my boys have been fantastic. They've asked me every day, because obviously they know my family's from Asheville, but they've asked the staff every day how they can help. I've had players that wanted to travel with me, to help in Asheville. And then you've got this really difficult situation right now where we're in season, right? And we're having a really good season. And do you lose the momentum right now? And, going into this weekend to start playing again. But then kind of flipping it and thinking about what's important right now. And our boys have done a good job. We've started training again. We didn't train for a week. And those guys are, have been without power. And so they've kind of experienced a little bit of it. And we've got a lot of freshmen from countries that have never experienced this before as well. So talking to them consistently through, what's going on and how we can help and affect things. But also understanding that it's a balance, that one of the reasons why I'm doing this, one of the reasons why, we've been able to affect people is because of soccer, because it is bringing a lot of people together right now. The coaches, the donations that I received, you would not believe how many college coaches across the country have been the ones that have donated. So it's beautiful to see that soccer is bringing us together for something different than just being on the field right now. But of course, I think that the boys, including the UNC Asheville boys, hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm praying they can get to back to some normality as well, where we can start playing and feel like things are trending in the right direction.
How wide-ranging have the conversations been amongst the soccer community to you? I mean, I imagine you've got a WhatsApp group that's blowing up, email, text. How wide-ranging are we talking from folks reaching out to come and catch up with you?
I mean, everywhere, from the West Coast coaches all the way through the East Coast. They between myself and my associate head coach Joe Barber, they have been. I mean, when we were driving to Asheville, every 2-3 minutes we were getting donations, and it was college coaches we both knew. Tony and Ann at South Carolina reaching out consistently. People like that. There's been so many coaches out there that have reached out, and I am so appreciative of it, and it makes me understand that what I was doing was the right thing, and everyone's on the same page. And yes, we're in season right now and we're enjoying it, but everyone stepped aside to share their considerations for us and for Asheville and for the whole of Western North Carolina. So yeah, it's been eye-opening. There's some really massive positives to take away from it, and I've learned so much as well, because this is probably one of the first natural disasters that I've had direct contact with. So yeah, it's good.
Have you been scared at all?
I was scared for a while. We couldn't reach out to a lot of people. We couldn't get hold of anybody. Even once some service was coming back to certain people, there was still so many people unaccounted for. Family, Asheville City family, friends, previous players. So I was scared at that point, and then I was a little me and Joe were a little nervous getting on the road to Asheville. That was a little nerve-wracking. Not sure what we were going to see. When you're going through some of the mountain roads that are almost gone and deteriorated, and having to drive super close to the middle of the road because there is no outside of the road. There was some nerve-wracking moments, but yeah, I'm just super appreciative that everyone's safe, that we have been able to reach, and I'm just devastated for the families that have lost loved ones, and have lost their homes and their businesses. We're just doing all we can right now to try and play a small part in that.
What have you and those closest to you learned about yourselves? Not athletically or anything like that, or as coaches, but what do you think you've learned about yourselves as people? Did you learn something that you might not have known? Are you stronger than you thought you might have been?
I unfortunately think I'm more selfish than I realized I was. I said this over Twitter the other day that, my happiness is dictated by wins and losses. I mean, I truly mean that. I mean, me and you obviously know each other through being in season, and that's all I think about 24/7. And, my success for my family, for everything, evolves around winning and losing soccer games, and kind of made me feel a little sick, to be honest with you, thinking about how my first initial thought before I realized how bad this was I was upset we couldn't get the Furman game in. I was upset that we potentially weren't going to be able to play Winthrop, and that's disappointed. It disappointed me. But I'm glad that I've learned something about what is important. And of course, once we get the ball rolling here and we do get back to some normality, I will, be back into that obsession mode again. We will probably talk through the season and then the USL2 season, and life goes on. But I want to continue to keep remembering that, even though I can maybe only reach 50 to 100 people the other day, or maybe next week, or whenever it may be, that's still important. And that should mean more than what it has done to me in the past. Because I've always been concentrated on how do I win games, or how do I recruit better players, or how do I develop better players. I need to shift my mindset a little bit. There's no reason why I can't do both. And it doesn't have to be about natural disaster right now. It can be about mental health, checking in with people that aren't associated or going to benefit my career, so yeah, I've learned a little bit of some poor traits that I have, I think. And I think maybe, a lot of people have reached out to me since I put that up on social media and say, maybe we all need to do that a little bit. Life gets crazy and we forget those things, but for sure, it was massively eye-opening to me, that my mind never shifts towards, okay, what can I do to be helping someone other than myself or other than my team or other than my success as a coach. So yeah, that would probably be, unfortunately, one of the biggest things I've learned through all of this.
Well, but it's also 50 to 100 people that might not have been able to be reached in other ways if you hadn't been the person to reach out, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I am extremely proud of that. And, kudos to my wife, who's also, she's been the one buying everything that everyone needs. And they've been reaching out to her as well. And again, my staff here at Gardner Webb, my players, the university, the AD, the president, everyone's been super supportive. I'm just glad to be part of it. And I want to continue, because this is not going to go away next month. Asheville is going to take years to rebuild in certain areas.
All right.
And so we want to figure that out.
All right. So, and this is also part of why I want to do these kinds of things. Taylor's with us. And so go ahead and hydrate, Scott. Taylor Morton, Lee's McRae. He's now hanging out with us. I wanted to start, Taylor, with the conversation today with Scott. Scott, Taylor, Scott. You get to see each other.
Yeah. We just texted each other yesterday. Yeah. I actually reached out to Taylor's mom because he was one of the persons that I was concerned about I had not heard from. And I'd sent him a couple of messages and I got the one text on WhatsApp. And so I reached out to his mom and she said that him and his brother were okay. And again, that's it. Every hour it was somebody different that I haven't heard from and I was panicking. So it's amazing to be on here with you right now.
Excited to see you, man. John, thank you for having us. But
absolutely,
I just can't even express to see your face, Scott. It's one of those things that, like you said, and you can't. You're on the mountain, you can't get a call out, can't get a text out. Seeing one text, not two. Those types of things where you just never know who's safe, never know who's okay, and until you finally feel able to see each other, that's kind of when you know finally that everybody's safe. So
yeah, and like I said, this is part of why I want to do these kinds of things, and we're going to be doing this as long as we need to when it comes to all of this. Because Scott, what you said, I was reaching out to Taylor's mom. That traditionally, that initial response is, Taylor's mom is getting reached out to in these kinds of things. But I'm going to say this, and this is going to be part of our ideas going forward here. As long as we are here and we need to continue the message going forward, and as long as we can continue to have Scott see Taylor and Taylor see Scott and, and catch up with Mick and Andy at NC Asheville and find out what's going on at Montreat, because I know that right now that is a black hole of information because of what's going on there on campus. And Upstate, and Scott, you mentioned what's going on at Upstate, Presbyterian, Mars Hill, and I know that the coach at Mars Hill only goes into campus like one time a day, answers email, and then he's got to get out. So I'm going to open this up to you guys as well. If there's anybody in your coaching chain up there, doesn't matter the level in North Carolina or South Carolina or whatever, if there's anybody that we need to try to reach out to have them on so they can let everybody know what's going on, it's open status. Doors open. Like seriously, Scott, I mean, text me, you got my number, those kinds of things, reach out. Scott, before we send you away to get hydrated and probably caffeinated for the day, where can folks reach out to help out with you and what you're trying to do and getting back into Asheville when you can from Gardner Webb? How can they help?
Yeah, my Instagram, Life at the Web, and then obviously at Scott Wells 1988 on Twitter. There's a donation link on there. It's just a Venmo link right now. We're trying to update everybody that's donating on what we're doing with the funds. So far we've made one trip. We're looking at the organizations that we want to make sure we can reach out to the right areas of Asheville and the outskirts of Asheville, and in terms of what organizations are helping in different areas. And then, of course, Boone, Banner Elk, Greenville, areas that are also being affected right now. So myself and my wife are working on exactly what that looks like, and we'll keep you updated. The outpour right now of support has been unbelievable. And yeah, there are. You said most of the names that I was thinking of. I do know Daniel Ridenhauer at Winthrop. His students, even though they're on the outskirts of Charlotte, they've been sleeping in their gymnasium. Their students. Manuel Perez at Warren Wilson, who just took the job. It's his first head coaching position, so he's probably going through quite a lot right now, trying to navigate that. But yeah, I would be sure to reach out to you as soon as we know any more updates. And Taylor, please let me know how I can help you as well.
And obviously, Scott, if you want to bring them on and it's like, hey, I want to bring on so folks can actually see this person, so they know they're okay, so they can continue. If I could get my upper plate to work this morning, can continue to play this game of telephone that we have right now about, okay, you're here. Scott, thanks for dropping by this morning. I really appreciate it. Be safe. Do not be a stranger. And I mean that seriously. Duck in anytime you think that we need to know something about what's going on. Like you're making a run. Hey, I need to tell folks. So seriously, reach out at any time, my friend.
Yeah, I will. Thanks so much, John. Appreciate you having me on and highlighting exactly the severity of this. And Taylor, take care and text me when you need me, okay?
Absolutely. You too, man.
All right. All right, be good. That's Scott. All right, Taylor, first off, where are you and how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm currently in Concord. Came down to see my girlfriend before making a trip back up the mountain today. So down here visiting her before we pack the car up and head up that way.
First question, since this is your first time circling in with us. So where were you when Helene came through, and what was it like riding the storm out and coming out the other side? Where were you when all of this went down?
So I was actually on Beach Mountain. So about 10-15 minutes more up the mountain than Banner Elk, where Lee's McRae is located. And actually couldn't really get around much of anywhere, with trees being down, roads being washed out, all these kinds of things. For the first 2 days, really couldn't get to anywhere. So it was kind of having to just utilize what we had in the house at the moment to kind of be able to get by. And then luckily, the community was unbelievable in terms of how they responded and how they reacted initially, and jumped straight on people that had chainsaws, immediately cutting down trees. Had guys that were running trucks with dirt and rocks trying to go and fill up 30-foot sinkholes, things like that, where it was just go nonstop, just to try to make sure that people had access to roads so that they could get actually to the top of the mountain and be able to actually get different types of food and water and that kind of stuff. So it was pretty unreal to have to go through it and kind of see what was going on. I can't imagine how other people are doing right now as well.
When things are where they are right now, how many trips have you made back since? Are you doing what Scott is doing, trying to shuttle necessities up right now? What is your role and what are you doing right now trying to stay in touch with everybody at Lee's McRae?
So for the past day, I've been trying to go to food drives and help with loading trucks, loading foods, taking and buying stuff so I could donate it to the food drives and start to work on filling those trucks. I mean, there's a gentleman by the name of JT Stillwell who's actually been loading up airplanes and helicopters and things like that. He does event management in Pinehurst, and is someone that has been very close to me from my time of growing up in Pinehurst for a little bit, and went to help him with trying to help with that organization, trying to load up those planes, those airplanes. People are bringing horse trucks and loading those. I mean, people are doing everything they can just to be able to load those. So I've been trying to load that, and then been trying to get the new information about where we're going, what the next steps are for us, and trying to figure out how to get all that out to all the guys and all the players. And then today I'm planning on making a trip back up to Banner Elk with a bunch of hopeful goods and things like that to help out. So
I was going to ask about communication inside the team and the university and the athletic program. How difficult is it to keep track with everyone? Where are things right now with communicating, making sure that everybody's safe?
So right now it's It's tough just because everybody's kind of here, there, everywhere trying to, I mean, every coach that I've spoken to is trying to either get back to the mountain or trying to do something that they can with loading a truck to send it off to the mountain or something like that. Everybody's trying to do something that they can to try to make sure that everybody has what they need. But then in terms of the college itself, we have a bunch of our administrators who actually weren't on the mountain when things all kind of happened. And they've been able to communicate from remote areas and all that kind of good stuff to tell us the next steps of how we're going to continue a season and all those kinds of things. So
how much of I asked Scott this toward the end of our first talk this morning. Taylor Morton, the men's head coach at Lees McRae, hanging out with us here in hour number one. What have you been able to learn about yourself? Not as a coach or anything like that, but are you stronger than you thought you were? What have you learned about yourself in this process, trying to sit there and navigate all these different things, trying to help out, trying to make sure that your players are accounted for, you know what's going on at the university, all these different things that you have to manage all at one time. What have you learned about yourself, you think?
I don't know. There's an element to it where you kind of, it's odd to say, but you kind of realize how selfish you can be at times, and you kind of realize what your normal thoughts are. I mean, a lot of people would do things like go straight and think about games and things like that. And I honestly didn't even think about the season or anything like that until I got fully off the mountain. And then someone had mentioned like, hey, we might be moving you guys to a different campus to kind of figure out the next steps in the season. So it's been a lot to learn. It's been a lot to kind of figure out, a lot to do. But with it being first time as a head coach here at Lees McRae, it's definitely been something new to have to work through. But I'm just happy that I can be at my alma mater and trying to figure things out and help however I can. So it's definitely been an interesting experience.
What about Callie on the women's side? Have you been able to catch up with her and find out what's going on?
Briefly, but nothing too crazy. I know she was impacted pretty big as well. They had some stuff happen with their cars and with their house as well. So I know that she's been trying to get that figured out. And mainly the communication with her has been just trying to make sure that she's safe, she's okay. And then also with the next steps of us moving to a different location so that we can play the season and those types of things.
What is the latest on that? Making sure that once things are, back where it is safe to navigate and safe to function, what are they telling you about the rest of the season?
So as of right now, the plan is for us to go and travel to Ferrum College. I know that a couple other teams are going to Queens College. Queens and Ferrum have been unbelievable in terms of the outreach and the help that they've been offering and providing for us. So we are actually going to men's soccer, women's soccer. I believe it's men's basketball, cross country. We are all actually going to move to Ferrum College, live in the dorm rooms of Ferrum College, and potentially be using that as a home field, and then try to continue the season on from there. So try to figure out away games, home games, if they're going to be at Ferrum or a neutral site around Ferrum's campus. But they've been nice enough to actually open up their dorms so that we can put all of the student athletes in that dorm and still continue with the season while all the restoration is going on around Lees McRae.
How, and this is my geographic naivete in all of this, how easy is access to Ferrum as opposed to Lees McRae right now? I mean, can you get there considering the interstate situation in Western North Carolina? How easy is it to navigate to Ferrum and or Queens?
Yeah, so I haven't tried to quite get back from Charlotte to Bannerell to tell you specifically exactly how that looks from Queens to there.
Right.
I know that roads have gotten better, but then they're kind of closing some on and off to continue with the repairs and things like that. So the initial little spell of getting out of Banner Elk is tougher, but once you're out of Banner Elk, some of those are actually still okay. So not anticipating a whole lot of pushback on the drive up to Ferrum or from Queens.
What do folks need from Banner Elk and your interactions? What do folks need, and how can folks help out with what you're trying to get accomplished up there and everybody there at Lees McRae? What do folks need?
So some of the biggest things that I'm seeing is the things that you don't normally think about. There are animals up there, so there are people who are asking for dog food. horse food, cat food, things like that. People are asking for, diapers, products. Formula is a really big one that I'm hearing. Diesel fuel for generators. Water is a big one as well. All those types of things that you wouldn't normally think are an immediate necessity are being really requested. So, but diesel fuel, water, and formulas are the big ones that I've been hearing so far.
When you look back to when Helene first came through to now, does it seem like it was yesterday? Does it seem like it was a week ago? How in addition to how are you feeling because of everything? Because I would firmly anticipate that the amount of sleep that you've gotten has been minimal at best.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with everything, trying to keep up with everyone, all of this, does it seem like it was yesterday? Does it seem like it was a week ago? How are you holding up?
To me, honestly, it still kind of feels like it's here, like it's still in the day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Just with you still have all the emotions of everything that you've gone through, everything that you've seen, all the people that and stories that you've heard and things like that, to where you're still getting these bits of information that make it feel like it's still here. And like Scott said, this isn't something that's just going to go away this month, next month kind of thing. It's going to be here for a while. And it just kind of feels like we're still in it, and it still feels like day one, honestly. I think that I got off the mountain on Tuesday, was the first day that I was able to get back, and still to this day, just kind of started figuring out what day it was, just because it all kind of blended together, because you're not really sleeping all that great because you're still hearing the winds and those types of things. So it still kind of feels like day one, but doing better than the initial thought was. So
for anyone that will hear this, is seeing this, will catch a replay, what would you tell those of us who are here in the Southeast, got to hear what's going on with you and Scott today, got to catch up with Mick and Andy at NC Asheville earlier this week? What would you tell folks who might be ducking into the story here for the first time, knowing what they've seen Weather Channel stuff, but I mean specifically you and Lees McRae, and with what Scott's going through with Gardner Webb? What would you tell folks right now about what you're having to navigate, what folks are having to navigate in Western North Carolina? What do folks need to know?
I think the biggest thing is just making sure that you can help in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's starting a food drive, whether it's helping with the local fire department, making sure that they have the needs that they have, or have everything that they need. All those kinds of things that are just trying to find some way to make an impact. I think that a lot of people kind of it's a bit unknown, and as weird as that is to say, but doing things like starting a food drive, doing things like trying to help with raising the awareness, raising water, getting all those types of things together so that they can be shipped out into where it needs to go. Because it's as much as I think about Lees McRae and Banner Elk, this isn't just Banner Elk and Asheville and those types of areas. This is a big impact. So I think that it's just trying to do whatever you can to get it to the closest area that you're near, whether that be due West South Carolina. I know their coach is kind of going through it as well. So just those types of things, that setting up food drives, whatever you can to help is phenomenal.
Okay. Thank you first and foremost for catching your breath with us and letting know what's going on. As I told Scott as he was leaving us this morning for the first time, I don't want this to be the first and only time that you're here. If you got something to say, raise your hand, text me, DM me, shoot me an email, do whatever. Let me know what's going on with Carly if she needs to come on to talk about things, because the circle that we think we have can be even larger as we continue to share information, because you never know who you're going to touch. So I would just ask you going forward that if you come across another campus, come across another coach, come across another sport, what have you, reach out. If you need to duck back in and let everybody know what's going on, give folks an update, because I know that folks are caring about what's going on with you, with Lees McRae, with Banner Elk, everything up there in Western North Carolina. Don't be afraid to reach out at any time. Hey, dude, I need to duck in for a couple of minutes and update folks on A, B, C, D, or E. Okay, just do that for me.
Absolutely.
And catch your breath, get caffeinated a little bit, and just, like I said, just be safe, please. and be as safe as you can. And I know that you and Scott are trying to reach out. You know, if you're touching 50 to 100 people, that's 50 to 100 that might not have been reached out to in any other way directly with what you guys are doing. Thanks for being a part of the community that you are right now up there. And I know being a first-time head coach and doing all this kind of stuff, it is lessons I don't think you ever thought that you would learn, right?
No, it definitely isn't, but I'm happy to be doing it. And thank you for everything you're doing. And thank you for trying to do as much as you can to spread the awareness. You've got an unbelievable platform, and to know that this is what you're doing with it means a lot to us, means a lot to the people that are in need. And I can't even begin to thank you for what you're doing and the words that you're getting out.
So it's what we're here for, my friend. So just be safe, and we will catch up with you when you need to catch up with us. Don't be afraid to open the door and knock on it and sit there and go, yo, Nelson, I need a couple of minutes. All right, be safe, okay? We'll catch up soon.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
All right, Taylor Morton, who's up at Lee's McRae. And so that is the early returns here on a Thursday. And like I said, today the rundown's kind of flipped a little bit. Because of everything going on with Helene, I can't thank Scott Wells, the head coach at Gardner-Webb, whom we know with Asheville City, Taylor Morton at Lee's McRae, and he's a part of the Giordano McNabb NC Asheville contact tree. And so that's literally how we got in touch with Lee's McRae. That's how we're kind of finding out what's going on with Mars Hill. The head coach at Mars Hill responded back in an email, and let me see if I can find it before we get to Nino coming up in a couple of minutes. And I do need to talk about Mojadama as well. Taken from us well too soon at the age of 30, and that was stunning to see that. But you know, obviously we send our love to everybody that's a part of the Atlanta United, the Twos community, and everybody who's been touched by Mojadama. And taking it from us far too soon. Greg Munn, the head coach and DSO at Mars Hill, he says, happy to help share what's going on. Hard with a signal here in the area, but I can email. And so I was like, okay, let me know what's going on. And so he literally, Greg comes in. He's like, coming to campus each day right now. And so just when Greg knows something at Mars Hill, he'll let us know. I'll email him today and find out. But yeah, literally the way that this worked was you had reaching out to the folks at UNC Asheville. UNC Asheville reached out to Lee's McRae and to Mars Hill, and I knew Scott Wells, obviously at Gardner-Webb, and Scott was supposed to be on with us on Tuesday, but he was making a supply run and taking stuff up to Western North Carolina from Greenville, Spartanburg area. And so, yeah, he was kind of busy. And so those circles that we have, they've kind of expanded. And literally this is a siren call to upstate, to Tony Annan, to hear Tony Annan's name being mentioned out at USC. That was really cool. And Presbyterian and everybody else in that area. And what we may do is, I know probably early next week, with what is going on here on the high school side of things in the state of Georgia, we're probably going to widen that net and find out what's going on for, you know, as long as we keep pushing out and pushing out and pushing out and keep adding names and adding names and adding names. And that if we can continue to have folks in contact with one another going through different places. Bart, I was going to specifically ask you about Lenore Rhine. So what's going on there? We probably need to catch up with folks at Lenore Rhine. So if you need to reach out to folks there on the soccer side of things, or if we need to, let me know. So that's why we're here as part of all of this, because of all of the ish that's going on with Helene that is attacking infrastructure. And so when we have something like this where we can talk to Scott, where we can talk to Coach Giordano, talk to Andy McNabb, talk to Taylor, talk to whomever that we can bring in as a part of the discussion, you know, Greg Munn at Mars Hill. Like I said, Bart, anybody at Lenore Rhine on the soccer side of things, if we need to reach out and add that to the circle, we need to do that too. So I'm probably going to widen this to the high school side next week. I think Tuesday we're going to be catching up with some folks across Atlanta United. I think we're right now planning on Steve Cook, the head coach of the Twos, Might have Javier Lopez on the show Tuesday. So Tuesday we'll probably have some Atlanta United conversations that are part of everything. But yeah, catching up on the high school side of things, more collegiate side of things in Western North Carolina, in Eastern Tennessee, in Virginia, all of that area that we know we need to reach out to. So that is part of why we're here. If we can be a megaphone for folks and connect folks and sit there and have Scott see Taylor for the first time face to face, that's what we're here for. So we're just starting this, and it's just beginning, and it's going to be a long walk, but we're here for it. So great to catch up with the two of them this morning, and I'm hoping that they are not strangers to us and let us know what's going on in their schools and their programs and such. And so you got a little bit of a developing story there where Lees McRae is shifting to Ferrum and Queens with their locations to try to continue their schedule when you get to that point. So a bit of a developing story there as well when it comes to continuing schedules and things when you get to that point. Yeah, and Augusta is still getting slammed too. Yeah, so I don't know about the high school football side of things in Augusta. I probably should catch up with our friends at Burke County and our friend John Hart, who is the news director at WJBF in Augusta. So you got that. You got all of these different things that we're kind of working toward here. And so that is part of our charge. And so we're not going to stop that conversation. It's hour number 2. And so we know what that means. It is time where we turn the page a little bit and we catch up. Like I said, the rundown of the show is kind of flipped today. So we talked Helene early. The power hour is the power hour, and we'll get into Major League Soccer and Atlanta United starting at 10:35 after this guy. Because I got to talk about Victor Gyökeres and what happened in the Champions League. We got to talk about that. You know what that means? It's time to go fully loaded. We go to Peru. Catch up with our buddy Nino Torres. Nino, what up? What up? What up?
Yellow, Atlanta, yellow soccer down here, fans. We're here fully loaded on a Thursday with the coffee, with the Champions League, Boca Juniors, Classico. We're loaded. We're loaded.
Well, and where's the boss? Is the boss wearing a jersey again today?
Let me see. Where's he at? No. He's just
all right.
All natural today. Where's he at?
He's like, yeah, whatever. Get
doesn't care.
Get to moving. I don't care. I know that. Tell you what. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll save the Columbus part for the handoff when you and Niko.
I like it.
So that way we can go from your MLS to his MLS and talk about MLS. I gotta talk about your boy Victor Gyökeres in Champions League. It was a 2-2 draw for them in Sporting. You see, now he's getting hydrated. He's getting hydrated. He's getting all revved up about this. But I think the new format, I think in the Champions League, actually probably saves the clubs that we don't necessarily spend a lot of attention to, like a Sporting. I think it saves them and it helps them in this process to where a 2-2 draw doesn't hurt you as it would in the old format, as it would in years past.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I'm so happy about this new format. Now you have the chance. If you rescue a point away, then you guarantee that point. You're guaranteed with that point because they don't have the second chance. I will see you at home. And no, it's not happening. It's not happening anymore. And now Sporting in that game, in that trip to Eindhoven, it was the matchup between the two teams that are running perfect in their tables in the leagues. PSV running 7-4-7, Sporting running 7-4-7. They were both running perfect, and this was probably the most uncomfortable matchup for Sporting so far in their campaign. They were absolutely bullied by PSV. They went out there as pit bulls and they shut down. They did shut down Victor Gyökeres with this kid, Ryan Flamingo, the 23-year-old, came from Sassuolo. From Sassuolo, they paid, what was it, $3 million for him. and he literally chased him all night long in Eindhoven. Remind me of this game. This is a long, but this game probably many people don't know about this game. But 1985 World Cup qualifiers. Argentina came to Peru, to Lima, to play for the World Cup qualifiers. And we ended up winning that game 1-0. And the tactic from that head coach on that game, Mr. Roberto Chale, who passed away a couple of weeks ago, he was a sticker to Maradona. He put a stamp on Maradona. He told this guy, Lucho Reina, you go up there and you chase him. He goes to his bathroom, you go to the bathroom with him. All right? I don't care. He's going to tie his shoes outside of you go with him all day long. And that's exactly what Ryan Flamingo did last night. I mean, Tuesday. On Tuesday with Jokic. He chasing, he following every single step of the game. And Jokic couldn't do anything, man. Couldn't do anything. But the thing with Jokic and with Sporting, he's the best player for Sporting, right? But they also have this guy, Pedro Gonzalez Pochi, who is the left winger, who is as crucial as Jokic is. And he provides that different input into the game. When you shut down your star, he moves around from different places, and he creates different options in offense for Sporting that they ended up missing a lot, Mr. Pochi. But 2-2, I mean 1-1 actually. 1-1 was the game with PSV, and I'll take the point, man. I'll take the point all day long.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second that you take a point, something like that with at a plus 272, by the way, for the juice boxes on that one. Looking at some of the other results, Villa shocks the ish out of Bayern Munich. Jean Duran, who fresh out of the Chicago Fire Academy, gets picked up by Aston Villa, and you end up
massive going.
With Major League Soccer making an impact in Champions League. And who knew it was going to be the dumpster fire getting a big paycheck, moving Jean Duran. And Jean Duran, I mean, did you have that one on the bingo card?
Not at all, man. Not at all. It's just shocking. And that the goal was massive, man. Because it's 2 passes. Goalie, for who get the assist, goalie to the assister, and then Duran, boom, right there, 60 yards, no time to react. And I watched do you watch that interview with Thierry Henry and Kate Abdo too?
But the fact that and this is where I give, and now Kate Scott, now that she's married, and she's trying to remind folks she's now Kate Scott, but don't get that Kate Scott confused with the Kate Scott that calls basketball games here in the United States, because you have 2 Kate Scotts. You got to be it's like not that Kate Scott, the other Kate Scott, the soccer Kate Scott. So. But literally you had, and this is why I enjoy their coverage so much, is because you have someone like Kate who can drift in and out of an English language interview or an English language translation and catch up with a Jean Duran, catch up with someone and do it in French and, translate Kylian Mbappe like flush while it's going on. You have a Thierry Henry who can be there and he can discuss things in Spanish with a Jean Duran in addition to doing things in French. And the seamlessness that they drift in and out. And I know that Jamie and Meeks, they sit there and they kind of run smack on it a little bit, but I think that's what makes that show and that platform work really well, is that they can inform, they can drift in multiple languages, and it's seamless. That was tremendous.
It is. I think it's the hardest part to do, man, because either you have many shows that they're so just information, then you have the shows that they're just entertaining, but you got the combination of both with high quality, and it's the best soccer show in the planet, man. I posted that last night, man. It's the best soccer show in the planet, of course.
Well, second.
Second best.
And by the way, now that you brought it up, did you know that we're up for an award?
What? Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you go to footballcontent awards.com and and this was unplanned, but Nino's fantastic transitional elements lead us to this. But yeah, you go to footballcontentawards.com/voting between now and 10 days from now, dinner time, East Coast time on Sunday the 13th. And you get to vote for SDH as best broadcaster rights holder organization, spelled with an S, considering that this is an English competition. So yeah, it's like one of these things is not like the other. It is Sky, it's ITV, it is what used to be BT Sports, it's Golazo Network, it's Amazon Prime, and then SDH. So literally one, and ESPN FC, literally it's like 3 in the US of the 10. And we're the 3rd in the U.S. of the 10 in that category. So vote. Find your IP addresses and vote. So the unsolicited transition to remind folks to vote from the Football Content Awards. Nicely done.
There you go. There you go.
I didn't even pay the man to discuss anything like that. All right, the rest of Champions League, since we're here. Benfica put up a number on ATLUTD. Did the fact that let me ask you this. Was it more surprising that they put up the number that they did on Atletico Madrid at home, or the fact that they just won outright? Which was more surprising to you?
That they won outright. I think there was going to be a more even matchup. I thought it was going to more even matchup. We were discussing this with the boys from Benfica. We do another podcast on Tuesday nights. It's 2 Tuesdays. We discuss all the Portuguese league. And we were talking about this, right? That this matchup against Atletico Madrid is gonna be a real test for Benfica to see where the team really stands. And they're standing so good, man. They're back to the you know what, when they hired Bruno Lage back, because returning after 4 or 5 years, 4 or 5 years returning to Benfica. Because Roger Schmidt get ousted because he wasn't he was one season wonder. I'm gonna put it like that.
Yeah,
one season wonder. He came from the Eredivisie. He won the title for Benfica, but his second year, it cost him a lot to gel the new elements. He didn't understand the players. He was so stubborn and not making substitutions. And many other factors, right? So Bruno Lage comes back with a fresh air, fresh approach, and it's crazy, right? Because we were complaining about why you don't use this player, why you use this player in this position, why this, why that, and then suddenly he put the right pieces in the right places, and the team is running. And of course, I know there's another item on the list that I'm saying you about Kevin Aktürkoğlu. That's the Turkish man that arrived to Benfica from Galatasaray, on fire, on absolute fire. He scored 4 goals in the last. He came 5 games ago. He scored 4 goals in the last 5 games that he played, and he's connecting with his other buddy from Turkey, Mr. Kokshu, in that Turkish connection. It's absolutely running the show for Benfica with the healthiness of Di Maria. You got the Pavlidis, you got the Niko, you got the solid backline for Benfica. And there's another name that I wanted to tell you. It's Álvaro Carreras is the left back for Benfica. Benfica was having issues on that left back position all season long, the last year and the year before. And when they let go, oh jeez, I forgot the Spaniard guy. There was another Spaniard guy. Oh my God, he went to Bayer Leverkusen. I forgot his last name. Jesus, I forgot the name.
It'll come to you.
It'll come back to me. So there was an issue with that position, right? So Álvaro Carreras takes over because the left back that they bought, Jack Nicklaus Bisti, the German got injured, so he jumps in. And in the last 3 games, it's been sensational. And last night in Stade de Luz in Lisbon was the best player, absolutely dominant on the left wing for Benfica. And their issue is solved. They got the left back for good. Albert Carreras, and you can go all the way. And that makes this title race so much interesting in Portugal, because a couple of weeks ago, I mean, Benfica was there winning their games too. I mean, they start with a loss, but Sporting was so far ahead of everyone. Now it's they're catching up. Benfica's catching up in level, in players, in goals, in from the coaching standpoint. Everything is adding up for Benfica, so it's gonna be this title race so much more interesting for the rest of the season, man.
Other results: Lille, Jonathan David with the surprise there at a plus 342, beating Real Madrid. Lille gets the big win there. That was one of the bigger pluses on the board. Juve in a shootout. They knock off RB Leipzig 3-2 on the road as a road dog. Then you end up with Feyenoord on the road at Girona winning 3-2 at a plus 291. Everything else, yesterday you had a lot of favorites. Then day one in this phase, Arsenal shuts out PSG at a minus 135, 2-0. Barca put 5 on Young Boys. Dortmund put 7 on Celtic. And our man Jarrett wants Brendan Rodgers' head all over again on a spit. Inter put 4 on Red Star. Manchester City put 4 on Slovan Bratislava. Brest put 4 on Salzburg. So it's like, I think that you had 2 days ago on Tuesday, you had all your favorites. The big favorites got the wins. And then yesterday was when the folks decided to sit there and turn over the apple cart and sit there and go, yeah, we're going to make this a little chaotic and have a little fun with day 2.
A lot. I mean, and that was a lot of fun too. And we're seeing this one-sided games ridiculous, man. It was 9 goals from Bayern last week. You got 7 goals from Dortmund this week. And what's next, man? Somebody's going to score 10 goals in one game, man, on this format. That's the only part that I'm not that attracted to it.
Yeah, that we're not fans of that, sir. That does not play well. Sudamericana and Libertadores. I know that's next on the dance card, and you end up with you end up with everything looking at all of that. But now, as a part of this and the fallout of it, you mentioned now the soap opera of Gago leaving Chivas to go to Boca Juniors as a part of all of this stuff going on in South America. What's the latest there?
It is crazy, right? Because so Boca Juniors fired their coach. Well, he resigned after the game. He
resigned.
Yeah. That right after the game, the final whistle. I think here's my resignation letter, right?
Yeah.
No, he was already gone. All right, he was already gone before that game. I never really liked Diego Martinez and to be the coach for Boca Juniors, and I think they're getting it wrong with the coach. The last time, who was that? Almiron. He went to the finals in the Copa Libertadores too, but the way that they reached the finals, not winning a single game, everything on penalties, relying everything on your goalie. That's not Boca Juniors, man. That's not Boca Juniors, okay? Boca Juniors is way bigger than that. And that's why I got the second most titles in the Copa Libertadores, okay? But now with Riquelme and there's this new way to manage clubs in Argentina, because before they did not have a soccer council. That's what they have. They have a soccer council. They got like 4 or 5 guys that running the soccer operations, and then they got the manager. And it's gonna, I don't know, the structure of the club. I think it's gonna. They wanted to do too much. They wanted to be Europeans, but they're not Europeans, and I don't know. So they fired the coach. Well, he resigned. I want to say that he resigned.
He resigned after losing to Belgrano 2-0, and they'd lost 3 in a row in the tornado.
Yes, right. Okay. So, names on the table. Okay, we want Guillermo Barros Schelotto. He's comfortable in the U.S. and without a job right now.
Yeah.
And not getting any calls as far as I know. But it's a man of the house. He's well respected in the Boca Juniors world. Then we have Gago. And then, but everything all the negotiations are focused on Gago now. They're not talking to anyone else right now. A guy was plan A, and if the plan A fails, then they will start to think about a plan B. They don't have a plan B right now, so everything is focused on Gago. And okay, they already talked to him. He almost, I mean, he's willing to go, right? But Mr. Vergara is like, what are you talking about? You got a contract with me. You got a contract with my team. I'm the king of the hill in Mexico, boy. Okay, so you think you're going to leave like that, just like nothing? No. All right, but this is a release clause. When I pay the release clause, it's not about the release clause. It's all right. This is Chivas. All right. We are the big dogs here. One of the big dogs in Mexico. Well, I mean, one in like forever, but that's okay. But they were still a big club in Mexico, and that's what I'm saying. In Mexico, in Mexican media, they're bashing, they're trashing Gago like nothing, man. No, you don't respect the clubs, and you are blah, blah. We're seeing even the bad words on air, man, on the TV shows. It's like, what? These Mexicans, and I'm gonna go again on that route. Mexicans, please, I love you, right? But you're not the Premier League.
No,
you're not elite. Okay, so if Boca Juniors comes in and says, I want to pay the release clause, I want to take Gago, they're gonna do it. All right, suck it up.
Well, but this is the thing. I mean, and obviously with what we've seen recently in Liga MX is that a lot of the big dogs, they're in the middle of the table now. You could spend all the money in the world and it ain't getting you wins. And right now, middle of the table, that's where Chivas is, right? Smack dab, 4-3-3 on the edge of the playoffs. They're not even in the first round buys right now. If the season ended today, they're not even in the first round buys. They're in the Primera play-in round. They're not even top four, so they'd be having some work to do. And since you mentioned what's going on in the torneo in Argentina, there's a lot of big names that are at the bottom of this table, and there's like 9,000 different competitions. You play like 7,000 games in a season.
I know, it's insane.
And you have a 28 team league, and it's all one table. You're all thrown together. At the bottom of the table right now, Barraca Central, Defensa y Justicia, who gives the SDH bump ever since our boy Becasese and his flow ever got on our radar. DYJ has always been given the SDH bump because we've always enjoyed the little guy coming up and grabbing the slingshot and the stones and sitting there and take folks out. Newell's is 25th out of 28. Bonfield 24th out of 28. San Lorenzo 23rd. Argentinos Juniors 19th. Lanús is middle of the table in 16th. Boca Juniors 13th in the table right now after losing 3 in a row, which is unconscionable to me. And I mean, look, you've got Deportivo Riestra ahead of Boca Juniors. That's where this league is right now. That's where the chaos is, man.
It's absolutely chaos, and that you gotta thank that to their president, to Chiquitapia, and his Barraca Central, and all the moves. They really need to reorganize the league in Argentina. They gotta go back to 20. You got to bow back to 20. You got plenty of teams, all right? This is a humongous country, and make this second division more competitive. And because right now there's a lot, John, you have no idea how many issues are they having in the second division, because everyone wants to go to the first one, right? And they knowing that there's 28 teams, they have a chance. So there's a lot of controversies. With the officiating.
No.
It is ridiculous.
No.
Like shameless, completely shameless.
No.
Throwing penalties out of the blue. They sending red cards. It is just so obvious. It's so obvious that something is wrong. And of course, I'm not going to say it, right? But something is wrong there. Something is on the dark side of the story.
There are questionable calls that are made on broadcasts that you see, and you wonder where the origin of these calls come from. Gee,
Yeah, it makes you wonder, right? Where's it coming from? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. So,
I don't know. How did that happen? Oh, I don't know. It's just
maybe because that team belongs to this guy. Oh, no. It's not because of that. No. It's because it belongs to the other guy. He pays more money to the. All right, we're not into that, man.
Oh, and so all right. So then you mentioned these calls that come out of the blue. That gee, I wonder where these come from. Peñarol and Nacional, the Super Clásicos this weekend. Are we going to get any kind of calls that might be coming out of the blue in this one?
No. This one is. I'm telling you, it's probably going to be one of the most exciting clásicos that I've seen in many years. And last 4 or 5, they were the last one that was super cool. When was that? Was the last one for Suarez when Lucho Suarez beat Peñarol at the Jesus, what's going on with your names, Nino, today, man?
Not enough caffeine in your system, brother.
Wow, the Centenario. Oh, the Centenario Stadium.
Yeah.
It was the Centenario Stadium.
Yep.
The Lucha scoring a brace, winning the championship for Nacional. It was his farewell game. But now this Copa Libertadores aura on Peñarol is good. I think it's gonna put things back where they should be. All right, Nacional has less games than Peñarol. You know how many games? All right, I want to tell you this, right? You know, this is the oldest Clásico outside of the UK in the planet.
Wow.
Oldest in the world.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
The first Clásico was in 1914, bro. May 24 of 1914. That was the first Super Clásico.
It's only 111 years, man.
Yeah, it's nothing. 510 is the number of Clásicos they're going to play on this Sunday. 510.
Wow. That's
174 victories for Peñarol, 165 for Nacional.
Are we sure about those numbers? Because I'm sure those are some debating points with both of those. I'm sure that there are some that are questionable wins that are no like in the early days of the rivalry when folks didn't have like newspapers and stuff, and you're sitting there, it's like, well, wait a second, one side says they won, the other side says they won. So that margin of 9 over 339 of the 500 plus, I'm sure there's some folks on both sides who are
might be. But this is crazy, right? Because I want to tell you, where did I get these numbers? It's from the national source, but I also match it with the Peñarol sources, right?
Okay.
But Nacional has this. They put up this page. It's a software that where they have probably, I think it's the biggest database. I want to say that in the planet. I want to say this because they have this ATLUTD.com for Nacional. And they got the record of every single team that Nacional played in the history. Every single team, man. You just you name a team that they play, and you got the record. It doesn't matter what year, doesn't matter the competition, doesn't matter anything. It's just unreal, man, unreal. And it's just they're so proud because it took them like 3 years to put all that data together on the website, and it's so cool. I use it all the time, and it is well respected too in Uruguay in the media. And I asked the guys from Gold TV who are based in Uruguay, hey guys, what about this? Yeah, completely, man. 100% trust in that one, man.
Okay. Also on the board, well, and for those that may not know the rundown right now, Peñarol and Nacional after match week 5, they're both at 3-2-0. Only thing separating them is goal difference right now, with 11 goals scored by Peñarol and 5. Nacional scored 10. Peñarol's ahead by +4 in goal difference, and they are 2 points behind Danubio, who right now is at the top of the table. But Peñarol and Nacional kicking off things in match week 6. So I guess I should kind of sit here and go, okay, so let's take a look at next matches, since we're getting into the juice boxes here when it comes to these two. Nacional and Peñarol. Nacional is a +124 at home, draws a +189. Peñarol on the road is a +254.
2-5.
Yeah, plus 254 for Peñarol as a road dog. That seems way high for me.
I'll take that. I'll put my money on Peñarol, man. I'll put my money on Peñarol. I will. Of course, I'm not going to say that on air, right? But I'm going to put it.
Yeah. So whatever that conversation was that you just had, it's like, Nacional Peñarol. Those numbers look fantastic. I think I'll put my money on Peñarol. I see you playing. All right. So what else? When you come to the juice boxes on the week, what else is sticking in your brain across the planet when it comes to things that? Oh, what are you calling this weekend?
Let me see. I'm calling the Primera Liga. I'm calling Sporting versus Casapia. They're playing at the ATLUTD. Plus 4 goals in that game for Sporting.
Okay.
Danubio, Defensor, the leaders versus Defensor. Danubio kind of choked last weekend in their game. So I don't know about that game, man. I don't know about that. What's the up and downs on that one, John?
All right.
Danubio versus Defensor.
All right. So hang on just a second. In the Primera in Uruguay, it is Danubio. Danubio is a home dog at a plus 208. Draws a plus 186. Defensor is a plus 150.
See?
Danubio's a home dog. You're leading you're atop the standings. Let me get this straight. So Danubio is at the top of the standings. 4 wins and a draw out of the blocks. Yet you're a home dog.
Yeah.
At plus 208 to Defensor, who is, give me a second, 10th. At 1, 2, and 2.
Yeah.
What's going on down there?
It's because of last weekend. It's all because of last weekend.
Okay.
Danubio was undefeated, running perfect, 4 games, 4 victories, and then it was an absolute chaos in that game. Absolute chaos in that. They were leading 2-0 until the 90th minute, man. Until the 90th minute. And then Mario Rizzo, who committed a non-goal, one of those 2 goals for Danubio was a non-goal, right? This Mario Rizzo comes up, scores the first one, 2-1 in the middle 92, and then in the 94, he gets the assist to get the equalizer and ruin the show for Danubio's perfect run. And but this is also what happens in Uruguay when other teams other than Peñarol or Nacional are leading the first 4 or 5 rounds. Almost 99% of the times, they derail after the 5th round.
Okay.
They go south, and that's what's going to happen with Danubio. That's why the numbers are like that. I'm not gonna guarantee anything because nothing is guaranteed, but I'm pretty sure that Danubio is going to go down south from the next 5 rounds or so. Probably they won't win another game in the next 3 or 4.
Okay. Hydrate. Get hydrated here because we got the stretch run going. All right. So what else is going on in your juice boxes this weekend? What else is going on? Because I do have a developing story out of Major League Soccer that's a part of the handoff that I'm going to save until you and Niko are both up. So what else are you staring at in juice boxes this week?
Peñarol Nacional and no, that's it. The Sporting and Casapia.
Okay.
But just one quick thing before we go to the handoff.
Right.
My beloved Universidad de Deportes provided 8 players to the national team. 8.
There you go.
Number 1, baby. Number 1.
And you are a minus 435 as the last game. And when the Clausura picks back up after the international break, you are taking on AD Tarma on the 19th. So 16 days from now, when everybody comes back to league play, and you're already a minus 435 going up against AD Tarma. The standings right now, by the way, in Liga 1 in Peru. I don't know if you know this team, but
Maybe.
they're at the top of the table. 9-3-1. You've only given up 6 goals in 13 matches this year.
We haven't conceded a single goal in the last month. Not once. All right.
2-0 to Comerciantes, 1-0 to Union Comercio. 3-0 to Sport Boys, 3-0 to Alianza ATLUTD. Okay, so, and then Cesar Vallejo on August 25th. You're still hitting zeros, man. So last 5 you haven't given up a goal.
Clean sheet after clean sheet, baby. You know what they say: differences win you championships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and if you get a clean sheet at the end of the day, you're at least guaranteed 1 point before before the end of the day. So, all right. You wanted to talk about your crew. I'm going to save this story that'll be a shock to everyone when we talk about it. But you wanted to talk about your crew and what happened in the chaos of everything that happened in the midweek involving Major League Soccer. It is 3 matches or 4 or 2 or 1 that's left in folks' seasons. But last night, the chaos of crew and Messi and friends, and it was chaos. What in the hell happened to your crew, brother?
Man, I really don't know, man. I really don't know. Well, I do know. This is what Messi. I do know what happened, right? Even though we had a chance, because we got a legitimate chance to turn that game around. But I mean, Cucho missed a penalty. We got the red card.
Yeah.
I mean, several other factors in there, right? And we got another chance. So it could have been a different story last night.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality, the truth of the matter is, we have the best player still, the best player on the planet, still. Best player on the planet, the best roster, the best team, and finally healthy, right? Messi said this last night. You know, for one reason or another, we couldn't be all of us on the pitch at the same time. And now that we were on the pitch with Lucho, with Busquets, with everyone, it feels right. He's healthy. You got the magic going. They're gonna win the championship, man. You know they're gonna win the championship, right? So I got nothing against this team because we lost against the best team in the MLS. That's it, man. That's it.
All right. So it is that time for the handoff. And so Nino's getting hydrated. Niko's getting caffeinated. And he's getting everything all gassed up and ready to go. See, I'm staring in the green room, and I'm seeing yeah. Oh, Niko's going rave green today. No real shock, especially after a 3-0 win. So I see how this works. All right. So I'm going to hit the open. We're going to do the handoff because I have a developing story that I know will shock both Nino Torres and Niko Moreno. So I've got to find the brand, and I've got to hit all the notes, and we go here. So here's Niko's open, and here comes the handoff as we go from fully loaded to a Thursday with Niko. Beat 2, 3, 4. Okay, 3-way dance, and I got to hit the music.
Uh-oh.
Developing story from our buddy Ben Jacobs. And like I said, I know this will shock both of you, and I know that this will shock humanity to its core. Exclusive from our buddy Ben Jacobs. I'm going to let the music play a little bit.
Let the suspense build.
Yeah, but I know that this will shock both of you. Ben Jacobs at Give Me Sport saith, quote, Inter Miami are set to qualify for the Club World Cup after beating Columbus Crew to win the Supporters' Shield for the first time. The victory, in which Messi scored twice to ensure Miami will finish top of the table. They can also win MLS Cup. MLS Cup doesn't conclude until December 7. Inter Miami are likely to be confirmed as the host representative, and Miami's Hard Rock could host the opening game featuring them. Confirmation of participation is expected soon, potentially this month. So I know you're both shocked that wild card is heading to Messi and friends. I don't know what the world is coming to. I'm stunned. Let me check my pulse. Yeah, I'm really stunned. Color me shocked that was going to be where Team 32 was going to be in the Club World Cup that doesn't have a TV deal, that has clubs sitting there wondering, okay, fam, where's the payout? And we finally had venues announced, but there are too many questions than there are answers. And oh no, Messi and friends are the wild card. Color me stunned. How did this happen? How did this happen, people? What's the world coming to?
Yeah, I don't know what shocked me less, that or Pochettino eventually being announced by U.S. men's national team as the head coach. I mean, both the shocking things that I never saw coming. And yeah, I mean, it was written in stone. It was clearly going to be the perfect way to transition, that Messi is done what he's done in MLS, and he's going to be in all the marketing and all of the spotlight of the Club World Cup. And now that it's Miami, they were going to use the shield as well. We have to make sure that we give Miami the credit they deserve, and getting the shield should also get them an opportunity to be in the Club World Cup. I mean, it was so obvious was going to happen that it's interesting. Is what everybody expected, but good for Miami.
Good for Miami. Okay,
Yes, sir.
This is the handoff. So, all right. So let me ask you this, Niko. Before you came in, we were discussing what happened last night with the match involving Nino's favored at Crew 96 and Messi and friends. I will maintain, and I think that this is probably a majority opinion. All right. So let me ask you: who's the better club, Crew or Messi and friends?
Crew for me. I mean, they've done it for a longer time, for a longer period of time. They've done it in different ways with different coaches. They did not have the need to bring the best player of this generation along with three friends, and a guy like Tata Martino that makes scouting just a walk in the park. I mean, it's like I don't want to offend anybody, but like Nick Saban and Bama at one point. I mean, the best of the best is going to go there because Tata's there. And so it's so much easier to just get that. So exactly the big wallet. And that's just the way it is. And look, as much as I'm happy for Miami, it's so hard sometimes to get behind it because it's so forced and it's so cosmetic from the fan base or part of the fan base to Jorge Mas and his Jerry Jones like attitude. I mean, last night all over the background of people's interviews and talking and with the shield and all the antics. Come on, man, give me a break. It's cringe, man. Something my son used to use that apparently is no longer cool either, but cringe is what I would say when it comes to that.
So cringe, Jorge Mas. I know.
Terrible.
I'm down with it. All right. So, Nino, your MLS question for Niko on the handoff. What's on your mind?
What are the chances? What are the chances for Seattle? Now, you won yesterday. You're number 4. And expectations. What are your expectations for the playoffs, man?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's a good question because as soccer tends to do, it changes through the weeks. I am still firm that Seattle has no more than a 15% chance of really putting it all together and making it all the way to even the Western Conference final. I understand that results is what drives us, but we got to see beyond it. And as much as it's not Seattle's fault, the calendar has been very benevolent. No HH and no Ponce against Houston, no Ryan Gold and 2 other key components for Vancouver last night. When they beat Columbus, it was 6 players and a field player at goal when they got that 4-0 win. So there's just a lot of things that I continue to hold as I'm not sure what the Sounders will do when they get a full loaded team that's better than they are, and can they put it together? So because of that, I still think that the inertia and the momentum is there to where maybe they will put up a really good performance in their first match. And that changed for me because I felt like they were going to get burned out in the very first game. Now maybe they'll win one and see how it goes from there.
All right. So, Nino, you said what's going on the weekend. What else do folks need to know about what's going on with you and Gold TV and everything else during the week there with you? But what's the word, sir? What do folks need to know?
what they need to know is that the Columbus Crew will be back, and we'll see you again into Miami in the finals of the Eastern Conference Finals, and we see how we do on that thing. All
I
right.
would agree. And Nino, I would say that, and I never want this to be an excuse, but the refereeing was very lopsided in my opinion. I felt like
Yeah.
Busquets had a really tough challenge that could have been a red card that didn't. I felt like the second yellow on Rudy Camacho was very soft.
Hey, that never happens. That Busquets gets a skate.
Yeah, exactly. So, not saying that was the defining factor, but I feel like it definitely played into the game. Chicho, I've never seen him shoot a PK that way. It was very odd. So they could have very easily tied this game. So I believe you. I think Columbus will be back, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in another point of the tournament.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
As always, Nino, great to see you to go fully loaded to take things off in the first half hour of the show, the first half hour of hour number 2 on a Thursday. Be safe, my friend. Have great calls. Save those pipes. Say hi to the boss back behind you, and go take a nap. We'll see you soon, my friend.
See you guys. Take care. Thank you.
That is Nino. And so, yeah, Nino's fired up about his crew this morning.
I'm sure. I mean, everybody would be, right? I mean, it was a good game. It was entertaining. It was fun. But there were some things that were odd and cringe afterwards. And some of the refereeing was questionable. Like I said, even Chicho's PK was sus. I don't know. It felt like it was all just ready there for Miami to just take it.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we do on a match day leading into the matchups themselves is we make a point to go through the officiating crews that are attached to matches. And I think disappointingly, more often than not, you end up with center refs that shouldn't be assigned to higher profile games, if that makes any sense, because
Absolutely.
there are center refs that have problems navigating high profile matches involving teams that have that do things stylistically, and you lose control of the match early on, or you secede, you give up control of the match.
Yep.
Unless you're going to call things consistently, and from all indications, it sounds like Drew Fisher, the man in the middle last night for Crew and Messi and Friends, wasn't all that even-handed when it came to his distribution of things. Is that fair?
That is very fair, and I think that's spot on. And that was the odd part about it, is that, and I've always said it, I don't expect the referee to be perfect. Nobody is, but I do expect you to be consistent. And I felt like he really lacked consistency overall. And when he did start to call a lot of fouls on Miami, the switch of the game, the momentum had already shifted. The moment that Columbus had to take this game away was as soon as the first goal comes through, and that was just not there. And a lot of it had to do because of the way the officiating went.
Yeah, and so it's something, and we do this as a public service. Yes, we do rail on officials. Yes, we do rail on pro. But I think at the same time, I think it's just as important to sit there and give folks something to keep an eye on and be vigilant about with your viewing habits and your critical eye as we get to the final match or 2 or 3 in a regular season and get everything all squared away. So it's just things that we would suggest that folks keep an eye out for going forward as we get to crunch time. A couple of other matches last night, and we have to reset the clock on, you know how, like, when there's a building that's under construction and there's always that sign out front with all the plank boards and everything.
Yep.
Days at this construction site since the last accident happened, consecutive days of safety kind of a thing.
Yep.
We do the same thing here involving stupidity down here. And so we had a good run. We had a good run of days where, 15, 16, 17, 18, we've had a good run. But that came crashing to a halt apparently last night in New Jersey, where the FC Cincinnati match and NYC playing at Red Bull Arena in New Jersey, that's just confounding on a bunch of different levels. So according to Pat Brennan, Cincinnati Enquirer, In a match marred by a late stoppage in play due to an FC Cincinnati player reportedly being subjected to discriminatory remarks, FCC dropped its second game in a row, 3-2 loss to NYCFC in a sparse crowd at Red Bull Arena, home of the New York Red Bulls. Color me shocked that it was a sparse crowd. Post-match, the consequences of the defeat for FC Cincinnati took a backseat to what MLS officials stated in a post-match report was a homophobic chant directed at an FCC player. In a separate statement, FCC officials said NYCFC fans were responsible for the chant in question. Around the 86th minute, referee Guido Gonzalez Jr. stopped the match in response to the slur, then discussed the matter with the head coaches of both clubs, instructed stadium officials to proceed with the PSA regarding the incident. Ladies and gentlemen, discrimination has no place in our sport. Fan chant was used as offensive. We asked you not to continue to use the chant. Thank you. Match did not restart until the in-stadium announcement was repeated in Spanish. After it occurred, FC Cincinnati got the match restarted in the 90th minute with a drop ball. After the game, FC Cincinnati head coach Pat Noonan was asked how match officials handled the incident, how he personally felt about one of his players being targeted. At the time, he was still gathering facts. But club and MLS officials would later confirm details of the incident. And so then Pat Noonan says what he says, and statement to the Inquirer. And MLS came up with their statement involving a homophobic slur. We have to reset the stupidity down here clock to 0. We got to put the 0 back on the board outside the construction site here at SDH. I'm real tired of this crap.
Yeah, I'm sick of it. I feel like a lot of times we're poorly influenced as a community, as a society, and those sort of things, unfortunately, happen a lot in Europe and in the top leagues and in South America, and they seem to get misinterpreted as passionate or folkloric or whatever word and term makes people feel better about just being a D word to anybody about whether it's their ethnicity, race, or sexual preference. There's absolutely no room for that in our sport. It should not be tolerated, and I'm glad that it was handled that way. And it actually ended up helping Cincinnati and being a disadvantage to New York that had some momentum building, and because of the whole stoppage, ended up losing some of that momentum. So the result and the sport goes second to this sort of situation, but I feel like because of the stoppage, I'm glad that it affected the team of the people that were trying to make this ridiculous chance.
Yeah. So, good on you. Nicely done. But yeah, we have to reset the stupidity clock back to 0.
Yeah. In a lesser stupid way, we could also add Bernadeschi. Man, he had blinders on last night. I don't know what happened. Let his frustration get the best of him, and he was another factor of stupidity in a lesser important way. But yeah, he was not very bright last night.
Yeah, no, he was not very bright last night at all. And so since you mentioned it, 3-0 win, dominant. Vancouver did have some absences last night. You were plus 179 heading in, but you got the win as a road dog in Cascadia. Obviously, that helps things out when it comes to the standings, but some of your takeaways from the 3-0 win for Seattle last night.
Yep, I think it's the most complete game they've had over the last 2 months in MLS play, meaning away from Leagues Cup. I felt that Brian Smetzer is very lucky to have found 2 not just contributors, but influential players like Paul Rothrock and Georgia Manungu, both who scored last night.
Mm-hmm.
I think specifically Paul is tied in very well with the turnaround the team had when they were having issues, when they needed a spark. And he's become a guy that has surprised many. Last night I asked him that if he was surprised, he said he had high expectations, and he had, I think it was 15 goal contributions, something to that similar number he said about what he had expectations for him. But man, the guy has 8 goals in all competitions, and it's not just the goals, is the press he has, is the effort, is the runs, is the shiftiness of his game. I mean, he's not just a player that is your typical American, just high effort and athletic, and that's it. No, the guy can play. I mean, there's a couple of times where the way he brings down the ball with his shoulder, his eye on the ball. I've talked many times about his nose for goal. So last night we saw a lot of that. Defensively, this team, and I've said it consistently as well, that's the baseline. That's the foundation of Seattle's success, is that defense. Is Yemer Gomez-Andrade, who was unbelievable in the last 2 games. It's Alex Roldan playing well. It's Nuhu last night gets the ball and blocks it on the line. Steph was beat. Yemer was beat. The ball was about to get in the goal, and with that flair that Nuhu has, he gets it out of the back of the net. So, yeah, it was just an overall good performance as a unit. The collective play yesterday was very well. There were moments where Vancouver challenged Seattle, and there were moments that they lost some momentum. And at that time, even when they had to defend a little bit deeper and they had to get more compact, they did that. They were physical. They were good on possession. That's what their game model's about. They're a possession-based team, and last night it was effective, and therefore it's going to help out in the future. But again, this was a Vancouver Whitecaps team with 3 key absences, and therefore we'll see how that plays out. But happy for Paul. I will take some time to give Georgie Manungu his credit, and I need to applaud a kid that has done so much. But last night, he mentioned that his dad died 2 weeks ago, and that he was still playing with the team and he did not take time off. And he, the way Brian put it is that he wanted to make the most of his opportunities. So that sort of commitment to the team, that sort of commitment to yourself, is to be applauded. And for a team that got so much heat for being, for having no activity and not doing more, or actually not doing anything really in the summer window, a guy like Paul and a guy like Manungu, that last night they could not put him on the leash. I mean, they were trying to figure him out. The way that the step overs, the way he moves his body, the speed. He's a little bit unorthodox with the ball, so he's hard for a defender to kind of figure out where he's going to go. He was fantastic, very good. And I'll finalize by saying that Albert Rusnak as well, career high 16 assistances, I believe, that he has. Very good. He's earned a new contract here as a DP. That was into question at some point, that if he was going to return, if he wasn't. I think that he's finally lived up to that cam, that leader on the field. I saw this morning a tweet though about, this is the best season. I hope people are ready to admit that this season from Albert Rusnak is better than any of Nicolas Lodero's. And Mark's a guy that I respect. He has some very good knowledge on the team. He used to be or he's still a journalist covering the team. But let me just say this. Yeah, maybe stat-wise, and if you want to limit that to the regular season, then yes, you can make this statement. But the best from Nicolas Lodero came in the postseason, came on what he did afterwards. So that's still to be proven by Albert Rusnak, is that legendary players are built by bringing championships and about stepping up on big moments and not just patting down stats. That's why I'm not a numbers guy. There's a lot more to the game than statistics. So I will say that I disagree with that, because a season as a whole, he has not been better player than Nicolas Lodero. He's the best player of all time for the Seattle Sounders. There's no doubt about that. So let's give him credit without having to take credit away from a guy like Nicolas Lodero.
Give him credit, but slow your roll, basically.
Yes. Slow your roll, baby.
With that win, 2 matches to go, Seattle's 53 points, and you have the tiebreaker on RSL, even on goal difference, but you've got one more win with 2 matches to go. So the street fight will continue in the Chase group in the Western Conference. LAFC, 3 matches to go, 2 points clear of Seattle on RSL. Houston right now at 51 points, Colorado at 50, and then you get into Vancouver, Minnesota, Portland. Portland had a chance last night to kind of get out of that ish that's 8-9, but Austin came up and bit them, winning 1-0 at a plus 434. So it draws Austin closer. Austin's got to win out and get tiebreakers, and they'd be even with wins and everything like that. Interesting win for Austin. Portland stepped on a rake last night when they had a chance not to.
Austin just playing spoiler at this point, man. I mean, that's all they're doing. They drew RSL a week ago, last game, and they beat Portland for what? You're just spoiling people's chances, but it's on Portland. Portland had chances. Portland created. Evander looked frustrated at the end of the game. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. With no Evander, there's no glory, and when he's not shining, neither is Portland. The goal was a deflection. Good for Stuver, who's been by far the MVP for Austin, the most consistent player. Just the way he's kept that team going is amazing at the goalkeeping position. But yeah, Portland should have done more. Minnesota's not losing a beat. So I think that we're starting to see those teams that are going to stay above. Good for Seattle to be in third. I was not expecting it. They have a tough game against Colorado coming up. But yeah, the West, I think, is starting to take shape. And if there's two teams that should be worried, RSL, because man, it feels like there's the curse of the Bambino, and then there's the curse of the Colombino. Because once Andres Gomez was out, they have not been the same, baby. They have not been the same. Not Chicho has been the same. The attack hasn't been the same, and they really need to figure it out before. And Portland, man, if they keep dropping points, if they keep giving these teams a way in, they might find themselves out.
Yep, and the East is its standard amount of chaos. We talked about Messi and friends getting the win last night in a very unevenly called match at Crew. Joseph gets a brace last night at a plus 380. Atlanta loses 2-1. Charlotte gets rid of the dumpster fire. They were a favorite and won. NYC exposes Cincinnati's issues at the back once again, winning 3-2. Purple team won at home, beating Philadelphia 2-1. Red Bulls, and you mentioned what's going on with Toronto FC. It's like, I don't know what Toronto FC team's going to show up on any given time. And so the standings in the East after the end of the day, we'll get into cliffhanger in just a second. Eastern Conference, Messi and friends are clear, and they're going to the Club World Cup. Who knew? Cruz at 57, but they've got a match in hand on Cincinnati. I'm worried about Cincinnati. I really am. With all the injuries that they have at the back, they're going to have to outscore folks. I don't know if they can do that.
You should be.
Purple teams, 1-4 of 5. They're at 49 and 4th. NYC is 2 wins ahead of Red Bulls at 47. That gets us to Charlotte at 7th at 45. CF Montreal's at 40. They're unbeaten in their last 5. They've got some separation on everybody else. Toronto FC now, everybody's the one that's gunning for you. You've only got one point in your last 4 matches. You only have 1 match left, so you'll be a sitting duck on decision day. Philadelphia's at 37, 9 wins. DC's at 37, 9 wins. Atlanta's at 34, 8 wins. Nashville's at 33, 8 wins. The Revs, they need to win out and have everybody else lose out. And the Revs right now are at 31. They've lost 3 of 5. And the Dumpster Fire have been eliminated. They have 1 match to go and can't get any higher than 33 points. All right, so that sets up cliffhanger. And, actually, what do you think about what's going on in the East and the chaos before we get into cliffhanger?
I think Charlotte heard us talking, and they decided to figure it out and score some goals and find a way through. And they've been moving up. Toronto just seems like they're imploding, and it's about to, just the wheels are about to fall off that bus real quick. All the rainbows and sunshine that was that locker room and a new head coach is no longer there. And I think between DC and Philadelphia, they both have a really good chance. I like DC. Benteke just takes so much pressure off everybody on the field. I mean, last night they're in a thriller in a 4-3 game against Nashville, and Pirani's 2 goals, they are set up by everybody just looking for Benteke. Where's Benteke? Where is he at? Where are we at? Oh, you forgot about me, and there goes a brace. So it's an interesting team. I do think Toronto will find themselves out, though.
Yep, and Toronto has Messi and friends at home this weekend at a plus 129. Messi and friends are in the barn. They don't care, but I mean, shoot. What was it Sasha Klestin said, that Messi was out of 15 games and he scored 17 goals in the games that he was actually in. So Messi and friends in a game that doesn't mean anything on the road at a plus 177. I still think they get a result. I think Toronto continues to fall. Yeah,
I think they get a result, but I don't think I'd want too much action on that game just because we don't know what's going to be the Miami that plays out. I don't doubt that Tata is looking at the points all-time record because that's just who Tata is. But I also think that he's also looking at that wear and tear of his team, and he might just put a rotationary team against Toronto. So yes, they'll get the win. Don't know about the goals.
Atlanta and Red Bulls. Atlanta's favored, must-win situation. Red Bulls come to town. They got Forsberg back there at a +124. Red Bulls a +192. What do you think?
Oh, man, that's a tough one, man. Atlanta against Montreal was just tough. I mean, Joseph just he really came out after you guys. I respect the fact he did not celebrate, but man, you couldn't have written that anymore.
You can't give him that much space. You can't.
Yeah. Absolutely. You have to know where he's at all times. It's tough. And Red Bulls, they're such a different team when Forsberg's in there. I still see a draw in this one. I feel like it'll be a game where both teams are inconsistent. Both teams are hard to decipher. I think a draw is a safe bet on this one.
Charlotte's playing CF Montreal. Good for them. Crew hosting Philadelphia at a -161. What do you think?
I win nothing. Where are the goals? I definitely those numbers are not going to get any better. So the only thing that I would want in this game is maybe goals. I could see Columbus coming in there trying to work something out. So let's just look at the goals.
2.5 is a -130. 3 is a -152. 3.5 is where it flips to a +108 on the over.
I want nothing to do with that game, but I say Columbus takes the win.
Why does that not surprise me? Absolutely. All right. So, interesting one here. FC Cincinnati at a -109 hosting the purple team at a +260.
Orlando is a +260.
Mm-hmm.
So give me, as you look for the goals for me, please. Let me just say, FC Cincinnati has won 2 of their last 7 games. They've been inconsistent. They've been beat out. The defense is not what it used to be. I'm shocked out of my mind that Miles Robinson got called up for the U.S. men's national team, to be frank. So, yeah, Cincinnati is just a very is a shell of what they were last season. They really are. It's just a shell. It's just the jersey now. And because of that, I think Orlando City does win this one, but it'll be a thriller as well. So what are the goals?
3 is a -104. 3.5 on the over is a +147.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're not giving you much choice. They know what's going on. So, yeah, I just take Orlando and find yourself, lucky with that. But I think Orlando wins it, and they give Cincinnati another tough loss and a lot more to think about for a team that at some point we thought was a candidate for the Cup.
And then you get all those injuries at the back, and you're trying to figure out, okay, who's going to do what? Hey, have you played left? Have you played right back in your life? Yeah, back when I was playing U8. Okay, fine, you're at right back. So purple team at a +260. Out west, shoot, let's just go. We got a couple on Sunday, NYC and Nashville, Portland and Dallas. But yeah, let's just go straight to your game. Colorado and the Prairie Dogs hosting Seattle at a +127. Seattle is a +194. Draws. What do you think about this one?
Ooh, what's the draw?
Well, the draw is, after I click on yours, the draw is a +257 in the composite.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. I honestly, Colorado's a tough team. Seattle has a hard time in Colorado. But I think that they'll have enough defensively to hold and limit a lot of what Colorado likes to do. Likewise, I think that Colorado will do a lot to limit Seattle's efforts offensively. We got a nice little break eventually for this game after that, and it's gonna be interesting how that plays out. I think Seattle will go all out. Brian has not rotated his squad. I asked him about rotation yesterday, and he answered me with a shoe in his hand and was just like, if you look at the calendar, you would know. I do look at the calendar, Brian. I'm aware.
He's going Nikita Khrushchev on you, and he's banging.
Yeah, I'm aware of the calendar, Brian. Don't treat me like a rookie here. I was just asking because you have been very reluctant to rotate your squad. So I think that one would be a safe bet to say is going to be a draw.
All right. So I just had this vision now of Crusher Schmetzer sitting there and he's banging the table.
Yeah.
Took
Man,
took his loafer off and he's banging a left turn with it. How dare you ask me about the Cal? All right, so what's going on with Pulso Sports and the soccer bar, my friend?
all right, well, we got Soccer Bar here in about 40 minutes. We're going to be taking a deep dive into a lot of this. We're going to take a deep dive into Inter Miami. As much as people hate it, we have to give Miami their credit. We have to go into it. We'll talk to Jorge Mas, man. I'm going to be talking about Jorge Mas's antics there, man. It was so weird. Just in the back of every interview, just kissing, hugging, Tata looking at the camera like, oh, I'm not really sure if I'm, you're on camera, Jorge. Come on, stop it. So, we'll talk about that.
That's so Jorge.
So great. It's so Jorge. It's terrible. We'll obviously talk about Seattle, what's coming up, Colorado. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into what that game kind of meant for the team and what it could mean for the future. So it'll be a good one. And in Pulso Sports, we probably won't have anything until the team is back. There's no availability today. I don't think there's any on Friday. So whenever they're back, we'll be back at Pulso Sports. I'm also taking a trip to Vegas. So these juice boxes are going to be very convenient for me. And that's why, if you would allow me, sir, I would want you to please let me know if you have a way to look at the goals for the LA Galaxy Austin, because I feel like Austin has done some things as of late where maybe Vegas is thinking this one might not be a high scoring game, but LA Galaxy and Ricky Pooch with the Salt Babe last night and his two best friend in Pencil and Peck. I think if that one's a high scoring game, I'd be willing to go as far as 4.5 on that one.
Plus 185 on the over.
For 4.5?
4.5 is a plus
Hey,
180.
Give me something, Vegas. Come on.
Plus 185 on the over at 4.5.
Oh, that's tough. Dang it. All right. Well, that's not going to work. But either way, I'll be in Vegas. So all of these juice boxes will come very handy. So, man, it's going to be a fun weekend. So Pulso Sports might be a little delayed on some information, but we'll be back on Monday, nice and ready to go.
Beautiful. Love it. Be safe when you have fun as you're staring at all of the video monitors that have all of the juice box activity going on and sensory overload and everything. And please get there safely, come home safely, enjoy your trip, and we will see you next week in the international window talking about where things stand as we get ready for international windows and decision day and all that kind of stuff. Be well, my friend. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good one.
All right. He's going to go rave green. Oh, is that 2 or 3, by the way?
3, man. I had to watch a lot of games last night. You know me, man. I had to rewatch the Colorado. I had to rewatch the Orlando game. I had to rewatch the Inter Miami game. I was up for a while, so this is my 3rd.
No doubt. All right. Well, I'm right there with you. You've got your coffee. I got my soda, and we'll rock and roll. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy, my friend.
All right. That's Niko. And it's always great to catch up with Niko and find out what's going on the West Coast. Okay. Like I said, we kind of Sadie Hawkins the show today. We reversed the order. Now that we are north of hour number 2 and in hour number 3, time to talk about Atlanta United. And obviously, you listened to Rob Valentino last night. Wasn't happy with the response coming out of the blocks. He said both teams, frankly, looked a little sluggish coming out. And you end up with Joseph getting a goal, and he had this wide enough berth where he could chest it, turn it, and do it, and put it in the back of the net, and he did. So Joseph ends up, Joseph was the one that put it in the back of the net twice, and so you end up with a goal from Daniel Rios, and it was 1-1, and then Joseph gets the second. Atlanta United has no answers, 2-1. And this is where I wanted to get into the math involving Atlanta United in the Eastern Conference. So here's where things stand in the East. And it is, and we've mentioned the different groups. So to Niko's point, I think Tata's chasing after the points total. And so I think that if he has a chance, he'll probably bring the Gulfstream Galacticos with him. They probably won't start, but who knows? But we'll see what happens there. And we'll see what lays all out. So we bring in Nick As we're here in the third hour, it's bonus time, Nick, because we kind of Sadie Hawkins the show today. And reversed our order because we caught up with some friends in Western North Carolina, the head coach at Gardner-Webb, Scott Wells, head coach at Leeds McRae, Taylor Morton. We caught up with our buddy Nino Torres from Gold TV and caught up with Niko. And that brings us now to our discussion of Atlanta United. Like I said, we kind of Sadie Hawkins the show. We reversed it today because of everything going on. So we are now into the Atlanta United discussion. And first and foremost, since we've had, the sum total of 13 or 14 hours to think about it, what sticks in your brain from what happened last night at Mercedes-Benz?
Contracts are what's sticking in my mind right now. I'm having a very difficult time pushing to go to games during times like the middle of the week, right? Because it's hard for me to push and fight to get down to a stadium. Because yesterday the traffic was a nightmare, even just getting to a MARTA station.
No doubt.
Traffic, yeah. So if I go and I know that I'm probably going to see a performance where the team elects to switch off for an extended period of time, it's hard for me to justify making that trip down. And that's just me as a ticket holder. Okay. This is not representative of anybody with the SDH network, nor with the Atlanta United in general. However,
or the SDH network version of yourself.
Correct. As a season ticket holder.
Yes.
Right. It costs me, like, I've already paid the money to enter the stadium. That money's already gone.
Yeah.
But ticket resale value yesterday was what, $8 on SeatGeek, I want to say.
Okay.
So plus fees, you're probably looking at about $18 to $20 to get in. And that's at tax, fees, everything, whatever. But it's hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to fight to get down there, because it's so frustrating at times. And Rob Valentino has said this in his press conferences. I don't think I'm saying anything that's out of alignment here, because the manager himself has said, we've got to figure out, people who want to fight and be here. This is a must win. It's not just must win from the standpoint of playoffs. There are some folks who are fighting for their MLS contracts.
Yeah.
And, it's hard for me to sit there and watch a team shut off and be like, yeah, man, I'm willing and able to just rush down to that stadium, yell and scream and go nuts and try to motivate a team that doesn't seem to be able to motivate itself top to bottom.
Yeah.
Individually, yeah, there's a couple of people out there who I think are putting in the shift. It's just hard for me to justify when a vast majority of the team doesn't seem to be doing that.
Looking at the numbers from last night, obviously, like I said, we discussed Joseph and his brace and getting the 2 on the board for Montreal, which was a big 2 points for them as they're chasing the playoffs. Like I said, we went over the math, and basically you've got to win your final 2. If you are Atlanta United, you've got to get 6 points in your next 6. Figured 40 points would get you into the postseason. And you win, you're going to have your tiebreakers. Toronto seems to be doing you a favor by limping to the finish line, and you're going to get a Messi and Friends team that might be chasing after a points record. So good luck on that on the weekend. Looking at the stats on the day, ball possession 50-50, XG on the board for Atlanta was 1.72. And for CF Montreal, it was 0.87. 4 big chances for Atlanta United compared to the 1 for CF Montreal. 15 total shots compared to 9 for Atlanta United. Keeper save 6 for Jonathan Sirois compared to 1 for Brad Gazan. 7 corners for Atlanta United compared to 1. 23 fouls called in the match, 13 of them for CF Montreal. Passing numbers about the same when it came to the actual physical numbers themselves. 18 tackles for Atlanta United compared to 12, 13 free kicks compared to 10, 2 yellows for CF Montreal compared to 1 for Atlanta United. Total shots, we mentioned 15-9, 7 on target. compared to 3. 1 each hit the woodwork. Shots off target then is 6-3. 5 blocks, 3 of those to CF Montreal. Shots inside the box, 15 total, 8 for CF Montreal. Shots outside the 18, once again, 8 for Atlanta United, only 1 for CF Montreal. But there's always the discussion about, okay, hey, go ahead and shoot it and rock and roll and see what happens in these situations. Lineups on the day: Brad in net, who punched a 6.4. Pedro Amador continues to impress at the left. It was Amador, Williams, Stian Gregerson, Brooks Lennon. Brooks will not be available for Red Bulls because he picked up a yellow in the match last night. Bart Sleece, Tristan Muyumba, and then it was Jay Fortune in the midfield. You had Rios, Miranchuk, and Saba, all 3 up top. Numbers on the board: Daniel Rios with the goal hit a 7.8, Miranchuk a 7.9, Jay Fortune 6.5, Saba a 6.4, Muyumba 7.1, same with Bart. Amador a 7.7, Derek Williams, Stian Gregerson, Brooks Lennon 6.9s and 6.8s for the 2 of them. Substitutions: Edwin Mosqueda came in with 24 to go. Jay Fortune got to sit for the final 24 minutes. Jamal came in for the final 15, subbing in for Daniel Rios. Tyler Wolf came in for 7, subbing in for Tristan Muyumba. Abram, Noah Cobb, Ronald Hernandez, Luke Brennan, Dax McCarty did not play. Sean De Silva injured and did not play. So that is where things were with the lineups on the board. And now, Nick, like we said, missions in front of you. You know what you got to do, but you got to win them both. And the chaos that is there now, every result helped you last night. You didn't help yourself, but every result helped you carry you through to the weekend. Toronto at 37, they're in the 9. So right now, Montreal is 3 points clear of the chaos. They're at 40 points. They're in 8th. Toronto is in 9th. They pretty much rolled over last night. 37 points, 11 wins. Philadelphia, 37 points, 9 wins. DC, 37 points, 9 wins. Identical record to Philly. Philly has a far better goal difference. They are 25 better than DC. When DC loses, they lose big. Atlanta's at 34. Nashville's at 33. New England wins out. They'd have to get to 37. They'd have 11 wins. Everybody else in front of them has to lose to skip to that group. So 6 teams, 6 points to get to the 9. I'm not even looking at Montreal right now as we get ready for Red Bulls on the weekend. And Red Bulls, you don't know which one you're going to get from them. 4, 5, and 7 away from home. They've won 7 of the 16 that they have at Red Bull Arena when it's not being played in by NYCFC or anybody else for that matter. So I know it's difficult for you as both a season ticket. It's difficult for you as a season ticket holder to make the financial decision, to make that financial investment to come down. Now that they've got this matchup against Red Bulls, we know what Red Bulls bring to the table. They're an odd duck. They're a little different with the current coaching staff, and they're really different with a healthy Emil Forsberg. What are you anticipating, or what would you like? Let me phrase it this way, and obviously we'll talk about it more tomorrow. What would you like to see coming out of the blocks with Atlanta United going up against Red Bulls on Saturday night?
I want to see defenders close properly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lingering issue with the back line has been who is controlling what area during transition. It appears that there have been miscommunications and freelancing that takes place that one hand doesn't know what the other's doing.
Right.
I want to see that be sorted. I would like to see the 6 and 8 for Atlanta be consistent. I think that some of your defensive woes start there. It's not just the back line, but the 6 and 8 as well. If the 6 is not in the appropriate position, that means that one of the center backs has to make an adjustment that pulls them into a negative space that allows extra room, extra passing lanes during a counter because you're in a recovery mode. And if the 6 is in the appropriate position, then the center back gets to stay home, then the passing lane's closed. And the passing lanes that have been found centrally against Atlanta have been lethal. So they've been the difference, in my opinion, between a 1-0 win and a 1-1 draw, or a 2-1 win versus a 2-2 draw. Some of that is mental lapse. I'm here, I'm occupying this space just just south of the half, at the half line, and I'm looking to the left when the play's to the right, and then, oh wait, crap, the ball's down here, I've got to move, and the passing lane's open.
Yeah.
So and I know it's I can't say I want you to fight, because we're past that point.
Right.
Like we're past the point when we need you to fight.
Right.
We're past the 11th hour. At this point, we know what's going to happen. We know Red Bull's going to come in. The keeper's going to stand on his head. We know that.
Well, Carlos Coronel has done that, so yes.
Right. And so at this point, let's not commit, self-inflicted wounds here. That's what I would like to see. It's just a basic thing.
Yeah. So it's like, just give me a shot to walk here before we can run,
Well, just give me a game where we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, and let's see what that looks like. You've already proven to us that there's not a committed level of fight in totality across the club.
Right.
You see the digital team putting out exceptional content, right?
Yeah.
They're doing their part. You see the comms team, they're doing their part. I'm seeing everyone across the organization do their part, except for the people who are on the field consistently. And I don't know why that is. I'm not even going to speculate why that is, but I'm just telling you, I don't see it. And if there's anyone who would like to disagree, then please point to me why there's an opening right now in the technical director's position, why there's probably going to be an opening in the managerial side of business, why there is, the record is what the record is, and then talk to me about whether expectations have been met. And if expectations aren't being met, I think it's perfectly fair to say, okay, what's going to be the thing that will give some sort of general hope?
Mm-hmm.
I think having a game where you don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
And that's really where it is. And to me, that's kind of sad, but it is where it is. Garth is supposed to have not a press conference, but where he interacts with questions from the founding members. And I submitted my question, which was, and this is very straightforward. I said, Garth, I need your elevator pitch why we need to believe.
Yeah.
And because I'm not seeing it. And I think every organization, whether you're software, whether you are in the service industry, whether you're a sports team, the one thing I've learned is that every good seller, right? Every person who is a successful seller has their elevator pitch down.
Yeah.
Right. Elevator pitch is like the time it takes from going like the fourth floor to the first floor. Here's who I am. Here's what I do.
Basically, it's the scene in Working Girl where Harrison Ford and Melanie Griffith take Orrin Trask up the different elevator than Sigourney Weaver.
There you go.
At the end of the movie, it's like, okay, kid, you're on. And so how did you come up with the idea? That's what you're talking about.
There you go. So, and that's the whole thing. I asked Garth for his elevator pitch. I would like to see if he gives the elevator pitch in this, this Q&A session. I want to know, and outside of Garth, because Garth can say, hey, I was in Seattle, we won titles. Great. That's Seattle. That was then. This is now. Past is not present.
Yeah.
But it can kind of give you an indicator of where things are going to be. I need to know from the players, right? It's one thing for Maranchuk to that, again, the digital team is doing, God, their videos technically gorgeous. I love what Maranchuk said. We need the fans. We need you there. I want to see when the whistle blows, I want to see an elevator pitch from the team. You tell me, because just the fact that you're in Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I have to mess with you. There are plenty of neighbors who I don't talk to.
Yeah.
There's some neighbors I'm really good with. There's some neighbors I don't talk to. Just because you're in my neighborhood doesn't mean I have to be buddy with you.
Yeah, when I'm out taking my walk in the neighborhood and I see you sitting there mowing your yard, I might wave my hand, but that's about it.
Yeah. So just because you have Atlanta on your badge doesn't mean I have to mess with you. Just tell me why. Give me an elevator pitch as to why I should.
Yeah.
And because the Falcons there's a lot of places to spend my money. The Falcons are doing, they look like they kind of have. You beat the Saints, that's great. Can you beat the Buccaneers? That's going to be interesting to see. The Hawks are pitching a rebuild, with young talent. So there's places for me to put my money. I need the elevator pitch from the team, the players, to say, hey, here's why you should come down to this stadium. Here's why you should come down and yell and scream and push us on. And people can call me plastic for saying that, but in this economy,
yeah,
you got to make financial choices, baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my disposable dollars are few, so I need to, pitch me. Give me the elevator pitch. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm out in left field on this. I don't know, but
well, no, I think that there are decisions that are going to be made by. How do we say this? By season ticket holders.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm gonna differentiate a fan from a season ticket holder right now.
Mm-hmm.
Fans are interested. Fans are engaged. The season ticket holders, and this is a point that you have made when it comes to you're looking at things. How did you differentiate it? What was your phrasing? You're looking at it as an investor and not as a fan.
Yeah, it's an investment. This is an investment of my disposable income. This is a recreational entertainment purchase. I have a budget, and my budget says, here's how much I can spend on recreational activities, right? Now, when I have established what that dollar amount is, that allows me to then go and sort of make a list. And this is very boring adult stuff. I'm sorry, but this is what us people north of 40 do and get very excited by. And I never thought I'd be one of them. Making a list of potential avenues for entertainment. Right. So whether it's travel, whether it's going out to, a place like Bacchanalia, a freaking Michelin-rated restaurant, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to list these things out. And Atlanta United is currently on that list. And you have to fight to stay on my list. You have to show me you want to be on that list.
Right.
Because when I go into my decision-making process, if I look and say, these cats are kind of phoning it in, do I want something phoning it in on my list? Because if I go and I use a travel website called going.com, free advertising, free plug there, and I see that as long as I can get to JFK, which is not too terribly difficult to do, I can get over to Europe for $440 round trip.
Correct.
And I look and see how much my Atlanta United tickets are costing. I'm like, I can go to Rome for $440, stay for pretty cheap because I got some people there.
Yeah.
And spend a week in Rome, or a season of Atlanta United tickets where we have seen repeatedly what that looks like. Get a lead, or the other team gets a lead, and then we tie it up, and it's either a draw or a loss. Maybe there's an eke out one win. I seem to remember more draws and losses this season than I do wins. It's fight to earn my dollar.
Yeah. Every
business does. Every business fights to earn my dollar. Every pizza place that you order from, every Thai restaurant I order from, it doesn't matter. They're all fighting for my money. So you are, whether you realize it or not, whether you want that or not, you're fighting for my dollar. And that's a very, you are the CFO of your own budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to make decisions based around that. And people will call you plastic. People will say that you're fair weather. When you have 2 kids and one of them is, going to like a private school, that is where my loyalty lies to my significant other and my 2 kids. That is my loyalty above all. Everything else is fighting for attention and fighting for money.
Yeah. To the internal as opposed to the external.
It is what it is. And
Hutch has it as enlightened self-interest.
I agree, because if we allow ourselves to be, there are businesses that say you should do business with us because we're easy to do business with. Domino's, Pizza Hut, Papa John's. You call, you order a pizza, the pizza arrives. It's easy, right? You don't have to do a bunch of dishes. It's taken care of. Then there are businesses that say you should do business with us because we provide you a sense of luxury. Like you should buy a BMW, you should buy a Mercedes because you wish to have this sort of elevated lifestyle.
I do.
And then there are some people or some organizations that say you need to have an emotional attachment to us. You are paying to have an emotional attachment to us, right? So fraternities, sororities, and sports teams fall in this category. Right, you're paying to be in a fraternity. You pay your dues. Sorority, you're paying your dues.
Yep.
And sports team, you're paying for season tickets. All 3 want you to have an emotional involvement, emotional connection with the organization. Now, I pretty much have a guarantee what I'm getting out of the frat and the sorority. The sports team, I am, regardless of the sport, there are decision makers who I am relying on to keep the product on the field entertaining and engaging, right? Those 2 magic words, entertaining and engaging. And so it's easy to build an emotional connection when you're entertaining and you're engaging. Did I say wins? No. Did I say championships? No. Entertaining and engaging. The team in 2017 was new, right? We were just on the heels of 28-3. The city was desperate to love something, to be excited about something. Atlanta United came on and was on fire. The team had 100% backing, sellouts at Tech, nuts.
Mm-hmm.
We move into Mercedes-Benz. The 2018, we get the title. We're finally an Atlanta team. Breaks the mold. We're winning. You're on Instagram, you're seeing the players all hanging out, having a good time. You feel like there's a community within the team. That community, there were meet and greets. You were meeting players. You were meeting coaching staff. There was a legitimate symbiotic relationship, it felt, because it was entertaining and engaging. And a double bonus, they were winners, right? 2019, we didn't get to meet Frank outside of, there was a preseason intro with him, which I thought was pretty cool. But, you started to see a little bit of a space develop there, largely because people wanted their old Atlanta United back, or whatever, which I disagreed with, but whatever, have fun.
Right. Yes.
And then COVID happens, right? And that's when everything sort of, the wheels, the asteroid sort of hit, and everything changed after that, right? Whether it's risk analysis, whatever. Now I don't see anything on social media about the players hanging out. It doesn't necessarily feel like it feels like there's a collection of players, not necessarily a community.
Yeah.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm on the outside looking in, complete, utter transparency.
Right.
I don't recall the last time that I saw hey, come meet player X at this place or that place. my mind tells me there was maybe something at the team shop not too terribly long ago. I don't know.
Yeah, there were a couple of players available there. Yeah.
Okay. So there we go. Instantly, I'm happy to be proven wrong on that. But I don't feel like there's any connection. I don't feel like there's any. I feel like it's a sales pitch now, and I don't feel like it's entertaining or engaging. And so it's to me, that is the issue right now where we are. I don't feel like the Hawks are entertaining or engaging right now. That just focus it on Atlanta United. I feel like the Hawks have to get that sorted, right? Because it's the same thing. It would be technically cheaper for me to get a part season block with the Hawks, right? I have zero interest in doing that because to me, they're not entertaining nor are they engaging. It's the Falcons at least seem to have hope. If they can figure out how to get Kyle Pitts involved in the game, that would be swell. But it's to me, again, for anyone who questions loyalty, anybody who says plastic, I have a deep, abiding love for my significant other, my 2 kids, and my very, very close, tight-knit circle of friends. Outside of that, you're fighting for attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a problem with that, have a Coke and a smile and deal with it, because that's a you problem.
And that is the bottom lines.
That's right. So, I want to see, and I want to hear from Garth something besides, we're a transfer cycle away. I don't, and here's the thing. I just know that I'm tired of hearing what I've heard.
Right.
So I hope Garth comes to this thing and gives me the elevator pitch that involves concrete steps forward. And that would be great. I hope that Atlanta, does something besides tells me about analytics, because analytics don't gauge heart. Analytics don't gauge that knife between the teeth mentality of a player.
The testicular fortitude.
It does not. So I don't know. Maybe I'm too business oriented with this. I don't know. Maybe I sound like a LinkedIn post, but I just, you got to tell me a better story than the one that's being told. Every good organization, every good seller is a storyteller. And this org right now, this team is not doing a good job of selling a story to me.
They're good at telling, but not selling is probably the way to put it.
Yeah. And the immortal words of the warrior poet Snoop Dogg, the game is to be sold, not to be told.
Ah, there we go. Yes.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we're staring at here. Staring into the mouth of the cave, and we'll talk about the rest of the matchups tomorrow and get into all of that. Okay. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it before we get out of here. And
Hutcho says analytics are telling us we need a finisher or two. The score line is telling me that we need a finisher or two.
Yeah, scoreline first and foremost. I mean, in the offseason, it's going to be left wing, striker, and then trying to figure out perhaps another midfielder that can fit into the depth discussion outside of Jay Fortune, the evaluations of folks like Matt Edwards, Noah Cobb, Efren Morales, all of that, because you got 9 guys right now whose contracts short of the option year discussion, and Brad has a club option for 25.
I say left wing striker, 6'8", a center back, and a right back.
So other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? There's a lot on the board, and so, but I think that you can look at some of those depth areas with what we've seen from Atlanta United 2 this year. And so now, I think that the DP slots are going to be left wing and striker to go with Saba, Midanchuk, etc. You look at what we've seen from Pedro Amador, you look at what we've seen from Jay Fortune, and it's been great to see that continue to grow. And so I think the depth pieces, I think from the 2s, as they continue to grow, I think that's part of the discussion also. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And I knew we were going to go deep into a third hour today. I just did, just because of everything that's on the table this morning. Obviously back at it at 9:05 in the morning. Hopefully catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals at 9:30. And then Tyler Pilgrim is going to join us as a part of the weekend whip around starting at 10 o'clock in hour number 2 tomorrow. So gossip. And once again, when we mention a paper, take the information at your own peril sometimes. Arsenal, Bayern, Manchester City, Real Madrid, and the running to sign Florian Wirtz from Leverkusen next summer. Bundesliga club wants 150 million euro. Barca hoping to strike a deal with Neymar in January when he's free to talk to clubs before his contract with Al Hilal expires in June of 25. You want to talk about spending bad money after bad? You're a team that has financial issues, and you want to go chasing after 32-year-old Neymar, who below the waist is probably more like 38 to 39.
That dude's 87 years old. It's like coming to America.
Yeah.
Like, how old are Neymar's legs? I saw Neymar's legs. They were 102 years old.
Mm-hmm. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. Eddie Howe and Graham Potter, two of the leading candidates to replace Eric Ten Hag if he leaves Manchester United. I don't quite think it will be leaving Manchester United. He will be told to leave Manchester United. Southgate and Inter Milan boss Simone Inzaghi also in the frame, according to Team Talk. But reports from Italy suggest that former Juve manager Max Allegri favored by Sir Alex Ferguson to become the next manager at Manchester United.
Go if you're going to get an Italian manager, go get Inzaghi. I mean, I don't know if you're going to get him out of Milan. Good luck. You know, Inter. I think he'll try to stay at Inter, but Man United. If you get Allegri, he treats a 1-0 lead like a 3-0 lead. So it's everybody, including the ball boy, the water boy, out trying to stop the attack. So good luck.
Yes. Southampton manager Russell Martin is at increasing risk of losing his job following the poor start to the season. So that would be the first official team freaking out in the Premier League. Frank Lampard hinted at his interest in the England manager role, currently being held by interim manager Lee Carsley. Real Sociedad midfielder Martin Zubamendi says he has no regrets after turning down a move from Liverpool in the summer transfer window. Arsenal has faced competition from AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Juve for Jonathan David, according to our friends at Football Insider.
If it's north of 20 million, you can count AC Milan off the list.
Borussia Dortmund's Karim Adeyemi is a target for Liverpool. They want the German forward to replace Mo Salah in the summer. That's from the three-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Everton not concerned about a January transfer window approach from Liverpool over Jared Branthwaite. Everton could reignite their interest in Miguel Almiron, who is likely to leave Newcastle in January. So keep an eye on that one. And Manchester United could opt to trigger a one-year extension to 31-year-old England defender Harry Maguire's deal, which comes to an end at the end of the 24-25 campaign, as they want to avoid him leaving for free. And according to Ben Jacobs, who's been very, very busy this morning, FIFA confirmed member associations at their discretion will have the option of opening, quote, an exceptional registration window, end quote, from June 1st to June 10th of 2025, potentially allowing clubs to sign players in time for the Club World Cup. The agreed UEFA dates to open the summer transfer window are currently between June 23 and July 1st. FIFA also confirmed the 2030 and 2034 World Cup hosts will be formally selected on 11 December.
If you do the exceptional signing period, you need to have an exceptional floor as well, meaning that because I don't want the big boys stashing players. You have to contribute to the downward cycle as well. You can't just have 6 teams hoarding players because they're in the Club World Cup. So if you sign 2 extra players, in my opinion, by January or by whenever the end of the Club World Cup happens, you should also have an outgoing window in which teams must remove 2 other players from their roster after that signing. So whether it's the 2 new players you brought in for the Club World Cup and you want to keep them, or you sign them and then let them go afterwards, there needs to be a period of time of roster compliance. I think just like the NFL has, I think that's a great rule. Keep teams, because that's what got Barcelona into financial trouble to begin with, was stashing high-priced players on their bench, players they spent like $80 million in a transfer fee on, sitting on the bench. Absurd. Roster compliance. Give them a hard number that they have to reach, and then if they are over that by the end of the Club World Cup, they must divest of 2 players or divest of whatever number of players it is to ensure that they meet roster compliance. Keep it fair.
Yep. England squad. Kyle Walker regained his spot. Dominic Solanke earned a long-awaited call for Lee Carsley as they get ready for Nations League with Greece and Finland. Maguire, Eze, Bowen, and Livramento have been omitted. Again, no place for Marcus Rashford. Walker returns. Solanke's was a standout inclusion, according to our friends at TalkSport. Hasn't played for the Three Lions in 7 years. Got the call up with his start at Spurs. James Maddison left out of the squad once again. No place in the group for Morgan Rogers. No place for Ivan Toney with his league play with Al-Ahly. Bellingham, Foden, Palmer, Watkins all come back into the squad, having missed the September fixtures. The women's national team here in the States are going to close the 2024 schedule December 3rd at Den Haag in the Netherlands. Second of 2 friendlies, November 30 versus England at Wembley. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. Europa League today. Friggin' everybody in the Europa League's playing today. I mean, there's juice boxes out the you-know-what in discussing everything Europa League. Just when you thought there wasn't enough on TV, we got Europa League. We got Europa League going on. I think Conference League might be there today too. Half of the matches at 12:45, half of the matches at 3. Let's see if there's anything worth anything. Ferencvaros hosting Spurs. RFS is hosting Galatasaray. Hoffenheim hosting Dinamo Kiev. Lazio is a -108 hosting Nice at a +316 at 12:45. Maccabi Tel Aviv hosting Midtjylland. Olympiacos Piraeus and Braga. Karabag hosting Malmo. Real Sociedad Anderlecht. Slavia Prague Ajax. Athletic Bilbao starts the 3 o'clocks with AZ Alkmaar. Besiktas, Eintracht Frankfurt, Elfsborg, Rome, and AS Roma, who's a -123 on the road at Elfsborg. Porto hosting Manchester United. PAOK Salonika and FCSB. Victoria Pilsen, Ludogorets Razgrad. Rangers hosting Lyon, Royal Union SG, and Bodo Glimt. And Twente and Fenerbahce. That is the Europa Leagues. Then Europa Conference League. Holy crap. Europa Conference League's playing today too. Cercle Bruges is playing St. Gallen, Dinamo Minsk, and Hearts, Astana, TSC, Heidenheim, and Ljubljana, Legia and Betis, Molde and Lerna, Noah and Malata Boleslav. That's one I'll be watching. Ammonia and Vikingo Reykjavik. I might be watching that one. Borac Banja Luka and Panathinaikos, Chelsea and Ghent, FC Copenhagen, Jagiellonica, Fiorentina and TNS. That's the big one. That's the Welsh side that's like non-league Welsh going to Fiorentina at a +3190. Luskin, Djurgården, Lugano, and HJK, Petro Cub, and Pafo, Shamrock Rovers, and Apoel Nicosia. That's your Conference League. What to watch. Europa League has a doubleheader on CBS Sports Network. Lazio, Nice, Rangers, and Lyon. Fox Deportes, Saudi Pro. And since we neither condone, endorse, nor promote it, we ain't saying it. ESPN Plus, W League, and the CONCACAF. Tigres and Alajuelenses at 8. Fox Soccer Plus, once again, simulcasting the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. Golazo Network has Tigres and Alajuelense at 8 and the W League champions. And then Paramount Plus has everything. Conference League, Europa League, W Champions Cup. So knock yourself out and make sure that your last button works on your remote control. Nick, last thoughts before we get out of here.
Just look, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, attempt to be kind, no one's asking it, no one's demanding it. Just
we had to reset the clock on stupidity down here today.
You're lucky, man. You know, what can you do?
FC Cincinnati and what happened last night.
See, I didn't even see that, so we'll talk about that offline. But anyway, look, just take care of each other, attempt to be kind, and find one way to help someone else around you. Okay, until next time, mucha Euro, y'all.
Yeah, what he said. And since now we have a close, we actually get to hit a button and it turns into a close. So very, very cool stuff here with a close that Nick actually created. We'll see you in a little less than 22, almost a little less than 21. Bye.